We are back. We've got a good friend of the show today, Phil Host, former Musashi graphic designer, and now you are heading up your own design business.
Pretty much.
Strong Media Group.
Strong Media Group, that's me.
Yep, one of the funniest people I know. Good guy. And a bit of a hit on Instagram and YouTube these days. You've just kicked off your YouTube channel again.
Yes, it's been revived for the 7,000th time. So hopefully, make sure you guys follow me, Phillip Host, on Instagram and YouTube, uploading regular content on lifestyle, health, fitness, relationship advice, any type of male lifestyle stuff I'll be talking about. So
I'd love some relationship advice from you right now.
My friend, ask away. This is what we're here today
Number one tip.
Number one tip. Are you being serious?
No.
Okay.
You've been in the fitness industry a long time.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds bad. But
I
yes. I've seen lots of different sides of the fitness industry. I started training back in 2002, I think, out of pure peer pressure.
Where's that? Oh, out of pure peer pressure. I'm thinking, is that the name
is that
of
a place? That's the gym. Pure pressure.
Sounds hardcore.
Sounds like a nightclub. Pure pressure.
Same, yeah.
So,
what sort of nightclub are you going to?
Gosh, man. Try anything.
So 2002, you started training.
Yep.
Why did you get into training?
Man, good question. So if you want to go, if we're going to tell my whole story, it's quite. I'll put it in a nutshell. So
we've got all day, man. I'm in isolation. I'm bored. I'm hanging to talk to someone.
In 2002, okay, where was I in my life?
Once upon a time.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a long time ago. I believe it or not, I
believe it.
In 2002, I started training because I had mates that I were hanging out with at the time, and they said, and they would go to the gym. I wasn't interested, but they said, we've got a friend, and he's trying to get rid of his 6-month membership. He'll give it to you real cheap to this gym that we go to.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, do you guys go? I'll go with you guys then, and I'll go. So I ended up going with them. This was like pure bro type of stuff. So literally chest day, arm day, shoulder day, Maccas.
And this is 2002.
2002, chest day.
Still exists.
Yeah,
I think that's how everybody starts.
Nothing's changed much.
That's how a lot of people start training, right?
So friends got you into training. You
got me into training.
Free membership or a membership transfer.
Cheap membership transfer. Once it finished, I stopped going.
Yep.
So my first experience in a gym was 2002. Stopped for like 3 years. And then in 2005, had a health scare.
Yep. And
that health scare got me thinking, maybe I should start exercising. So I started running a lot, right? So I started doing sprints, running around the block, thinking this is better than not doing anything at all. And I was eating what I thought was healthy. So I was eating like shitloads of yogurt, chicken salad sandwiches, and just whatever the typical, buying into the typical marketing stuff. Like if it said low fat on the product packaging, I was like, oh, I'm going to get shredded off this low fat. It's the low fat chocolate. You know what I mean? So
I think we all fell into that trap at that point.
I fall into it still now.
So you stopped training for a bit after that membership expired. What got you back into it?
So basically the health scare was like, my old man died from a heart attack. So that would always play in the back of my mind. Like I need to be healthy, otherwise that might happen to me. So it was like a trauma thing. Long story short,
how old were you when your father passed away?
I was 5 and he was 55.
Right. So he was very young.
Yeah.
He was younger than what I am now.
Yeah. He was 55.
Yeah, I'm 73.
So basically,
very young. My grandfather was the same.
You look great.
Grandfather was the same. Died around the same age.
Oh, really?
From a heart attack.
So that was kind of like playing in my head. So whether you want to call that trauma or whatever it is, it stayed in my soul. I thought, I need to get healthy because I don't want to have a heart attack. So basically, I was really unhealthy at the time. Maccas every day. I was a smoker back then, smoking, binge drinker. Yeah, I was a smoker.
Didn't know that about you.
I used to smoke, man, all the time.
Bad.
I consider smokers people that would go and actually buy their own packets and smoke in the morning by themselves. Yeah. Because a lot of people smoke casually, and I don't really call that
cigarette with a beer kind of thing.
What'd you smoke? Camel?
Oh,
you're a Camel man. I can see it.
No, Winfield.
I think 2/3 out of all doctors recommend Camel.
So
there was a legit ad back in the day.
I actually started getting heart palpitations at one point
from smoking.
I don't know what it was from.
Yeah,
but I was walking. I'd get them every now and then. It wasn't painful, but it was this weird feeling. Anyways, this one time I got it walking down the street, and it was actually painful. And I actually like doubled over, and someone walked past me. Oh, you all right? And I was like, oh man, I need to get doctors. Basically, went to the doctor, and I had like liver wasn't functioning 100%, and my triglycerides were extremely high. I was just basically really unhealthy. So the doctor said, you need to start looking after yourself. So I just kind of got into fitness, and then it kind of slowly progressed into, slowly got more hardcore.
Were all your mates into training
back then?
Around you?
Back then, no.
What were they,
No.
like schoolmates or something?
All
were they?
schoolmates. They
Yeah.
were into video games and stuff. So I was like the one that stuck out because I started getting into fitness.
Yep.
They-
You develop a whole new range of mates when you get into
Oh,
training, don't you?
D-
It's almost like a lot of the high school mates sort of, you have different interests and you go down a different path.
They either come with you or they don't.
Yeah.
It's
As
almost
simple as
like
that.
you're speaking a different language sometimes. You know,
Oh,
when you're into
yeah.
training and stuff, people are into, Maccas
Yeah,
all day, every day.
Yeah.
pretty much. So it kind of snowballed into whatever it is now. It's gone through different phases and the motivation changes and the reason changes, but the gym, and you guys know, the gym's always there for you. You know what I mean? Like,
We've mentioned that previously
Yes,
on
advice.
episodes.
Except
see-
right now.
yeah.
Well, it still is. You've
Yeah.
been training from home. Anyone that wants to look for some innovative tips on how to train at home, Phil has literally got some bands.
Yeah.
And if you have a look what he's been doing on YouTube and Instagram, pretty inventive with your
Pretty
workouts,
creative,
man.
man. Really
I-
creative.
You've been lifting up couches. You've been doing rows with bands and
Yeah.
broomsticks. And
Crazy. The broomstick was my aha moment, and I was like, "This, I'm gonna be famous."
You've
This
been
broomstick.
bench pressing your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that with that, but even when the gym was open, I was doing that. So,
How's it been at home, like for you? Like, because 20 years of training, and then all of a sudden gyms are gone. Not much equipment at home.
it
It's
is
a
an
bit of a
it is
bit
an
of a shock.
adjustment. Yeah, it's a shock. It's an adjustment, and it's times like these that people either go two ways. You either say, "Well, I can't do anything. I'm going to switch off and just let go," and then find excuses why you're like, "Oh, I couldn't go because the gym was closed and the food is just not there." Like you make excuses to let go and they justify it, or you pivot and you adapt and say, "Well, doing something is better than nothing, and how can I kind of recreate the gym exercises at home and kind of still make it work and still do something, even though you come out and you may have, lost a certain percentage of your fitness or your muscle or whatever, you can still be better off than not doing something at all." If that makes sense.
So you're big on a like a split routine.
Yeah.
Are you still trying to maintain that split routine at home, or are you doing?
To be
like
honest,
full
right
body?
now, I'm still kind of in that pivot thing where I'm trying to find a groove that I can get into where, I enjoy it, because I think enjoyment's got to be an important part. I hate doing stuff that I don't like doing. Like, I'm still kind of pivoting and finding a groove.
Yep.
But I know I'll find it. And
Yeah.
once I find it, all right, this works. Let's do this for the next couple of weeks until the gym's kind of
The
open up.
best routine is the one that you can stick to.
100%,
Right?
100%.
There's so many things that you can do, but
Yeah.
the one that works for you is not going to be the same that works for
That's right. And everyone's different, because I love doing sprints, and obviously not everyone loves doing sprints.
I love it.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I also like doing long runs, like at a consistent pace. My missus hates those. Like when I say I'm going for a run, to do a long run.
I'm with you, missus, mate.
No way.
Yeah.
Long runs, boring. Give me 15, 16 minutes worth of sprints. I love it.
Hell yeah.
So how often are you training with bands and stuff, like resistance training now? How many times
Do
a
you
week?
call it resistance training?
Well, yeah.
Right now, I'll probably do four times a week. I'll do resistance with the bands
And then cardio, how many times
every day.
So you're doing either a long run or
Or the sprints,
Sprints.
or both.
stair climb sprints you do, don't you?
Yeah, if
That little hill that I've seen you
I'll
on.
do the hill sprints.
Yeah.
If it's raining, obviously I can't, but I do stair sprints in my apartment. So just the fire stairs, whatever, just run up and down, just get a good, endorphin rush,
Yeah.
and then call it a day. Just get it over and done with, you know what I mean? But sometimes twice. Sometimes I'll do the sprints with my missus in the morning, and then later on, if I want to just go for a run, just get the headphones and switch off and just run for like a couple of Ks.
Are you separating your weights and your cardio workouts? Or you're doing your...
Well, of course they're separated. I can't do them at both at the same
don't-
time.
No, but
You
you
don't
know-
run and car.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like you're doing your weights and then you're going straight out for a run after.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
do you
that's
do-
right. That's
okay,
right,
So
yeah.
you don't separate it at
Separate the
the day,
days
like one in
kind
the
of thing.
morning, one in the afternoon.
No.
You
Unless
just get it done.
I get it done. So what I'll do is if I do cardio twice a day, obviously the weights is separated from one of those cardio sessions. But usually I'll wake up, hit the pre-workout or a nice cup of coffee.
Musashi pre-workout.
Of course, Musashi pre-workout. And then I'll do my resistance bands training. And there's no routine really. I'll just keep going till I get a mad pump, get a good sweat, get a good, a rush coming from that. And then when I feel like I've done enough, I'll go for a run.
So
I think sorry, you go.
would you say you're doing quite a bit more cardio than you used to do?
Oh,
before?
yeah, definitely.
So
But
are you,
I
are
need
you
to do
worried
something.
about losing muscle mass?
No,
right now?
not me. Because I know that for me, in this type of situation, I don't lose much muscle. I'll hold on to it well. So I know that And he's saying that if I do lose a bit, I'm not stressed because it comes back fairly quickly for me.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks.
I think the length of time that you've been training as well, after 20 years, you're maintaining muscle mass much more efficiently than someone that's just started training.
And it's funny because I used to think that whole muscle memory thing was a load of crap. But with my experience, and it could be just purely anecdotal, if I take 2, 3, 4 weeks off.
We love bro science.
Yeah. Oh, good. This is why I'm here.
A little bit
Let's
of
talk
bro
some
science.
shit that doesn't make
Just
sense.
a little of bro
Yes.
science.
So
Dhiren's the actual science.
it comes back rather quickly for me.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Like after 4 weeks, I reckon. Like I'm not concerned about that. I'm not one of those guys where if I miss a meal or a gym sesh, the next day I'm like 5 kilos smaller and you can see it, and I'm not like that. Like,
Mate, there's a lot of juice heads out there. They're in the fetal position.
oh,
at the
they're
moment.
freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get my daily pump on.
I know. I've lost 300 grams. I've got to get back on the trend.
I know.
Hurry up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys.
No, good. You're fairly motivated, so you're big on positivity and motivation. Have you always been like that?
No way.
So when did that sort of kick in for you? Like, is that an age thing, or is there something happened in your life where you just go, fucking hell, like I'm down on myself constantly. I need to change things.
I feel like it just comes with maturity and experience. I'm not saying I'm super mature and experienced. Obviously not. But you come to certain parts in your life where you have like realizations or aha moments where you just look back and go, oh, you start putting things together. Like looking back, you can only
What was I up to? Like,
yeah, like what it's really like that Steve Jobs quote that he says where you can't join the dots looking
I love
forward.
Steve Jobs.
I know it sounds a little bit corny.
Steve Jobs is good too.
Yeah,
But
whatever
Jobs
his name
is
is.
heaps better.
Steve Jobs, Stevie J. You can't figure things out looking forward. You can only kind of put the dots together looking back. And it's a lot of retrospect, looking back. Oh, and you kind of figure things out and you're like, you know, if you think positive and you act positive, most of the time the result's positive.
Yeah.
And it all starts with what's inside your head. You
So
know?
are you trying to reinforce that positivity every day? Are you
All the
searching
time.
for stuff that, I don't know, gives you a bit of a... I'm a fairly... Like, I'm a go-getter, but I'm not like one of those motivational quotes sort of guys. I'm not against it or anything like that. You just got to do whatever you need to do to get yourself up. But
Nice.
like, are you looking for things that sort of get you going each day, or are you just already driven?
No.
Are you following people online that you find are inspirational to you? And
Okay, good. That's a good question because a lot of people find like there's two types of people that need to be pushed by another force, or people that
extrinsic motivation.
or people that pull themselves.
Yeah.
So
Intrinsic motivation.
I prefer people
Buzzwords.
that pull
I like
themselves. but
buzzwords. Come on.
whatever fancy word you want to use.
Buzzwords. Come
Yeah,
on.
buzzwords. So I would like to think I'm the type of person that doesn't need to be pushed, but that doesn't mean like I can still find something on Instagram and go, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go train legs now, man. But this has got me motivated. I still find those, which is good. But no, I wake up in the morning and I know that it all starts inside my own head.
Yeah.
So I'll have my little mantras. I'll have a little pep talk in the mirror, whatever. It might sound cheesy to some people.
You're the best Phil host
Yeah.
today.
Or
Do
write
you-
it down.
do
I write
you
stuff down.
flex while you're in the mirror while you're saying that to yourself?
How many hours a day do you flex in front of the mirror?
To be honest, nothing these days.
What?
I feel like that was a phase in my 20s all the time. I used to live in front of the mirror in my 20s, but like I said before, your motivation to train changes. In my 20s, I just wanted to look super aesthetic with the abs and just have that. So because you're obsessed with that look, you want you want to validate it every morning. You look at yourself and which is nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's all right. But in my 30s, I feel like it's not so much about that. I get bored looking in the mirror. Like, you know what I mean? Like looking at my face, looking at my physique.
Now you know how we feel when we look at you.
I kind of get it. You get over it after a while, right?
I'm so over
You
it.
can only look at so many naked selfies. But
Yeah, so motivation, I find the best type of motivation does come from within. But if you need to look externally and get it externally, so be it. But eventually, I think that turns into sort of self-motivation. But however you get it, but you're always positive. You're always upbeat. From what we see anyway, I'm sure you have your down times and things like that.
What we're going to talk about is obviously, some fat loss stuff a bit later.
Yes,
but we're talking about
fat loss.
your physical diet. But you also have a mental diet. What you
mental diet.
Yeah, man. What you
do.
take in, your thoughts.
Wow,
all of
I like that.
is
Okay.
part of your diet. You are what you eat, but you are what you think as well.
That's a good. I like that. I never heard that before. Mental diet.
Yeah.
Yep. Positivity.
Yeah. Watch comedies.
Yeah, it works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you, back in the day, I know you're a bit sensitive about this topic, and we're mates, so we can sort of talk about it. And you're you're a very public person,
Yep.
but you're also a very, very private person.
Yeah, these pieces I like to keep.
Yeah. So you were part of the aesthetics crew back in the day,
Sure.
and obviously that was a part of your life. It's
Yeah.
not your whole life. I noticed online you get bombed with
Yeah,
questions
all the time.
about that, and you're very sort of protective of that part of your life and the friends that you held close to you at that
Mm-hmm.
time. Is there reasons why that you
Yeah,
keep that so
definitely.
close?
I think that, look, there's lots of different things that have come about from that life, very short period of my life, and a lot of positive things. But it's a double-edged sword. I'll tell you why. So obviously that whole thing revolved around Aziz. He was extremely popular, motivated so many people, including myself, and was just an out there character. And built a massive following.
The first
Yep.
to build a massive following in the fitness industry with that social media style.
100%.
He was the original YouTuber.
He was on
was.
YouTube
He-
before anyone else
He
was.
made a following, not even trying to make a following, just doing what he loved, being himself.
Whether you like him or not,
He's
he's
not
an
even-
innovator in
100%.
And we're looking at some of the videos the other day on YouTube, like the quality of the camera. It was,
Yeah.
It was a potato.
but it was way well before the time of social media and YouTube being a huge thing. So a bit of an innovator, but like you said, it was
It's not everyone's cup of tea, and
Yeah.
I understand that because me now at 37, looking back on me when I was 27, I cringe too. I'm like, oh
Mate.
my God, I was into that kind of stuff.
we
But-
all do. We
yeah.
all look back at ourselves at that age. I look back at myself. I look back to the last episode that we did of this podcast, and I cringe at myself. Let
back at
alone what
my-
I was like in the 20s.
I look back at my breakfast and cringe.
We all change. We all evolve, and
Yeah.
So the double-edged sword is, like, I guess he's got such a massive following, right? Now, he's passed away. He was a close friend of mine. So he's passed away, and I'm one of those people that I don't want to keep talking about a person that's special to me that passed away because it brings up old wounds and it opens up sensitive parts. And I can understand the young guys now that follow him and go, oh, this guy's amazing, and they idolize him.
Yeah.
They want to know everything about him. They want to know what he had for breakfast, what calories was he on, what was his cycle, what was his favorite song. And these questions that they have, because they want to soak up everything they can about him, they'll come and they'll ask me that stuff.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to talk about is something about my dead mate that passed away. What was his favorite song from some random that I don't know to ask me some sensitive questions. To me, it's like, well, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to talk to you about that. You know
And
what I
I'm
mean?
sure that it comes from a good place, and they're just interested. But like like you said, it's in the past, very sensitive. A
Yeah.
good mate has passed, and plus you're your own man now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
ask me what my
yeah,
favorite
that's
song
right.
is.
I don't want
Ask
to
me
be.
what-
I don't want to be known for just being the guy that was his friend.
Yep.
I want to be known for my own legacy because he's left his legacy, and,
Yep.
and that's amazing. Like, we don't need to do anything to build it anymore. It's where it is, and it's amazing. I want to build my own. For randoms, like you said, I understand where they're coming from. They're coming from a good place. They're young.
Yeah.
They've probably never lost someone important in their life before, so they don't know what it's like. They don't know how they'd process it because everyone processes it different. Some people happy to talk about him. I was mates with him, and they want to talk about him all day long and for hours on end. They can talk about what size was his shoe and all that stuff. Whereas I like to
Big shoes, though.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that stuff
No.
because it kind of it's sensitive. You know what I mean? So
and that's fair enough. That's
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
How have you been going at home, locked up with the missus? I know you two are close, and you're very similar people. You got the same sort of interests and
Yep.
stuff. But I know, like this week, especially for me, last week was pretty cool. I go through little phases. This week for me was tough, and more mentally tough than anything. I think I'm a guy where I get sort of a few hours today traveling to and from work to myself to really think and self-reflect and listen to podcasts and a bit of time in my own head. Now that I've been at home, I'm struggling to find that alone time away from the kids. I'm not saying I'd want to be away from the kids or the wife, but
That
I think
makes sense,
everyone needs a little bit of alone time. And I've had a rough week. Like, how are you dealing with this mentally?
oh, the same. I'm the same. Like, I don't have kids yet.
We're pretty edgy people too. Like, we always got to be on the go or
It's
doing
probably all the
something.
caffeine we're consuming and other things. No, just kidding.
No.
No,
Kids, just caffeine.
I'm having a tough time as well, mentally, getting my alone time. But how do I answer this without? Because I know the missus is going to watch this. I don't want to upset her.
What you say about me?
Yeah, no, look.
Oh, you want to be alone?
I love being around
So you
her.
bored with me?
The one person I'd want to be around all the time, it's my wife.
I know.
Right? This is the
Yeah.
reason why I married her. But you're right. You need that alone time, and once you do have it, you cherish it and you soak up every minute. It's nice. Like, I don't imagine in the car for yourself driving for a couple of hours to get to work, it'd be nice. You know what I mean? For me, it's the reason why it's kind of a good thing that she doesn't like going for long runs, because that's my time.
Yep.
I'd go and run for 40 minutes, maybe 3, 4, 5Ks on a consistent, just go for a run, zone out, headphones, and I absorb every minute of it, or I enjoy every minute of it. And that's really my alone time, which is probably why my cardio has been a lot. Well, there's been a lot of cardio for me lately.
Yeah. That's your alone time.
That's my alone time. She works.
Your wife's a nurse.
She's a nurse. She's
Shout out to nurses.
All nurses.
On the front line.
Man.
Killing it.
She's working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So she's out of the house all day. So that's alone time as well. So I miss her. I know I miss her very much when she's going away. I can't stand not being away from my wife. I love you so much.
It's almost like you got this written on a script.
Yeah, it is. And
Did she write this for you?
no, but I mean that's how I do. It's tough, but you've just got to find it. You know what I mean? Like.
And speaking of being on the front line, Hal, working in the liquor store.
Oh,
How's that the front line?
Doing the real hard yards. People need liquor in this time.
Yeah,
no.
true.
Have you been, Hal?
Than booze.
You're struggling, or are you going okay?
I love it. It's the closest I get to socializing these days.
What? Being at the bottle shop for?
Yeah, I'm local.
So you work at a liquor store. That probably explains why this is vodka.
Exactly.
Cool. Nice.
it's the only thing we could get away with.
We should probably jump into the latest news in sports.
Okay. First off the bat, Dana White.
Dana White,
Uncle
Yep.
Dana.
Uncle
Dana
Dana,
White,
yep.
Steve Jobs, whatever you want.
D. White says he'll stage fights on a private island.
Did you see this? The UFC has purchased an island to stage international fights on.
That's real. I thought that was just a troll.
No, it's real apparently.
Do you know where
Some
it is,
Mortal
though?
Kombat shit.
Yeah.
It's the Kumite.
So I think they originally were looking for this island to try and keep the Khabib Tony Ferguson fight still alive, which we now know has been cancelled.
Right, yeah.
But they've just secured this island. And I saw this morning it's a month away from being completed and ready to stage fights. Do you know where it is? I don't know where it is.
I think it's off the coast of America somewhere. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Let's go.
Oh, sounds easy to find.
Yeah, sure we could find it. But
Where's it?
but the next UFC got cancelled. You know, this is the only sport I was looking forward to. The only thing left in the world.
I think the big bosses at ESPN and Disney stepped in and basically squashed the UFC's plans to put on this next fight, which was meant to be in, I think it was
Next weekend, yeah.
Next weekend.
Why did they squash it?
Even Dana has a boss, man.
Because of-
Who would have thought?
Because of coronavirus.
Yeah,
Oh.
insensitive.
I
Social,
getcha.
it's probably the worst type of sport for social distancing. They were planning on doing it with an empty arena, just the necessary people there, so the minimum, like under required people. But I guess at the end of the day, they need to.
Can we all agree that that's actually possible? You could do that and pull it off. Still do the pay per view.
Yeah.
They can.
And still make money off that event.
Yep. But they
But it involves two people coming very, very close together. I know.
But can they not be tested beforehand like porn stars?
they-
Isn't that
Well,
sure? That was a legit question.
I think.
Could
I
they
think
not test them beforehand? And
Maybe
I don't
they-
know how
there's
how
probably a
they-
model there that they could follow. To be honest,
I'm
but
pretty sure they copied that exact model. Yeah. But yeah, no doubt they were going to do some testing. But yeah, it's just been squashed. So, but Fight Island,
yeah,
That'd be cool.
How good.
I think we're going to see some fights from there in the near future. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, and then the Hunger Games in a couple. Yeah, just
Looking forward to it. No, crazy. What else is happening, Hal?
This next one is a doozy. EPL star hosts sex party during lockdown.
Kyle Walker, English Premier
Kyle
League.
Walker plays for Manchester City.
Yeah,
Yeah, he during lockdown, he's facing disciplinary action for breaking lockdown laws or conditions by hosting a sex party. He invited 2 or 3 women over to his place, and yeah.
Wow.
And how do people?
Well,
How's
Must
know-
have broadcasted it or something. How do people catch on to
Instagram
this?
live on something? Or
I think he went Instagram.
He went
He
live.
took questions.
yeah.
Q&A.
How
How
did
was
people find out that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people dubbing people in nowadays.
What
so-
are single
snitches.
people doing these days, though?
Maybe because his neighbour never got an invite, so that's why his neighbour snitched on him.
Yeah,
But
but you know, for some of these football players, that's probably just a Tuesday. You know, like it's like,
We have Taco Tuesday.
oh shit, I was
He's got
having a
threesome
party.
Tuesdays.
Sex party.
Yeah.
Sex party Saturday. But what are single people doing? Are you allowed to actually slide into someone's DMs and hook up with a meeting, or like
I don't know,
how
do
does
you
it go?
I don't know what the rules are, but
I think everyone's a little confused about
yeah.
Yeah, Dhiren, that's what I'm asking you specifically.
I'm
right?
just, hey, you want to break some social distancing rules?
Outlaw sex. Oh, it's better when it's illegal.
Yeah,
I'm sending the police over to your
I'd
place.
break social distancing rules for you.
Technically it's exercise, so.
I saw something the other day where a guy got fined in Australia. A guy got fined for washing his car at a car wash at 1:30 in the morning.
No.
He was on apparently he's a shift worker, and he just wanted to
Wash his car?
wash his car at a time that suited him, middle of the night, 1:30. No one else in the car wash. He's got video footage of it. 2 police officers pulled up and fined him.
Is this legit? Because I feel like...
It's legit. I watched the video and he's posted it on his Facebook page, and he actually got done.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's already a stressful enough time. And I
Yeah.
know people have to sort of stick to the rules, but there should be some cases like that where no one else is around. It's 1:30 in the morning. You've got to have a little bit of understanding the situation.
I think the thing about social media these days is you hear accounts like that, and it's a lot of people are given minimal context because we don't know what could have happened
beforehand, before the video.
Exactly, he could have been minding his own business, but then the cops come up and just ask him a couple of questions. He could have been a massive dick.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what, this guy's a prick. Let's just give him a fine.
Yeah,
and then
true.
There's no context behind that because I've seen a lot of people not really doing anything bad. If they were just nice to the coppers, there wouldn't have been a problem. But a lot of people seem to get super hostile for whatever reason. They feel like,
They're already redlining by the time the police officer comes
and then
up to
if
them.
I was a cop, I'd be like, oh my God, can I just give this guy a fine? He's being a dick. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
imagine that'd be the hardest job in the world. You're
I
dealing
know.
with negativity all shift long. So
All the time. I feel like as soon
So
as
you're
you're
right.
a cop, instantly there's a whole bunch of people that just don't like you because of the fact that you're a cop.
Yeah. Shout out to cops.
Yeah, coppers on the front line would love you.
Yeah, on the front line.
And you see they've closed down beach walks, the Bondi walk. They've basically shut that off. So they're doing everything they can.
I think everything's on like a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It
Was
can't be a blanket case, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's got to be some things that are, well, this makes sense to kind of let it go and this makes sense to kind of lock it down,
Yeah.
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Makes sense. What else you got, Hal?
Several athletes who have been caught doping. They've banned from the 2020 Olympics, but they will be allowed to compete in the 2021 Olympics.
So they put the Olympics back, postponed it a year. It's now happening in 2021, and what has happened is athletes that have tested positive for banned substances that have been banned for 4 years or whatever, it's now allowing them an extra year. Their ban has lifted, so they wouldn't have been able to compete in the 2020 games. But because their ban's been lifted, they've done their time, they're now eligible to compete in the 2021 games. But I don't know how that works. Haven't they already qualified for the Olympics? Like they've picked the teams? Is there a requalification process?
I guess, every Olympic event is probably different in terms of the qualification process and stuff. But, on the other side of things, if you have some performance enhancement, you can potentially get lifelong gains from that beyond your sentence. So, even these people that they did their time, so to say, still might not necessarily be on a level playing field.
I 100% agree with that. It changes. It changes a lot, and you see it. Yeah, I see it in people at the gym that I've known for a long time. They might have been on some substances for many years and then got off for many years, but they've kept most of their gains. They're a lot stronger than everyone else. It's been a lifelong natural. They've got a different.
How do you can't, like, for me, I see where you're coming from totally, but it's like what's a level playing field? Because some people naturally are gifted because of a small genetic thing they might have. They've got slightly higher testosterone or a slightly better ability to hold muscle or reaction time or whatever. And what's level? It's not like we're building a racing car championship where every driver's got the exact same specified car with the exact output. Everyone's physique and capabilities are different. What's level these days?
There is no level, especially when it comes to the Olympics. Again, Mr. Controversy, I'll cop it again. That dirty.
Yeah,
The Olympics
100%.
are dirty as they come.
I agree with you.
What?
After watching that
Having said that, there are some clean players, like that's who you...
sprinkled amongst the...
This is where Dhiren. This is why the elder listeners love Dhiren.
Have you not watched that? What's that show?
Bigger,
that-
faster, stronger.
No. The other one. The other one
Invictus.
with
Yes.
that one that you told me to watch.
Not Invictus.
Erectus, or what's it called?
What's the guy that
Listeners going crazy
flies too
right
close
now.
to the sun? Icarus.
Icarus.
Yeah.
Icarus. Yeah.
Icarus.
Yeah, that one.
Icarus.
That
yeah.
one. Like, that blew my mind. That was
Yeah.
mind-blowing. And the fact that
The systemic doping right from the top from
that's
Vladimir
insane.
Putin.
Like, how,
Yeah.
From the government.
if I'd watched that and I
Doping.
was an Olympic athlete, wanted to be in the Olympics, I wouldn't want to be in the Olympics, and I was natural. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to be in the Olympics anymore, knowing that there's that much doping going on. What's level?
But
Level seems to be, well, if you want to be level, you've got to be on stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, this is the problem facing the world, and I think it's a big topic that you can't really get into. But right now, if you're playing by the rules, you follow the International Olympic Committee rules, who abide by the water rules, and there's a list of what you can take and what you can't take.
Sure.
So there needs to be some kind of judge.
Can I ask you a question?
What's up?
Because we're talking about level playing field here now.
Yeah.
What if we've got athlete A, who is naturally gifted, has a slightly higher than usual testosterone?
We shouldn't go down this route.
Yes, we should.
Just to get your opinion,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
Dhiren's opinion. So you've got athlete A he's genetically gifted. He has slightly higher testosterone than the usual dude,
Drug cheat.
Yeah.
right?
No, I'm
he's,
kidding.
he's natural, so he's got a high testosterone. Let's say his testosterone, for argument's sake, is 900, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Then you've got athlete B, who's natural, but his natural testosterone level is only at 500.
Yeah.
But he utilizes substances to get his testosterone to 900. So now he's level with the gifted athlete A. Would you call that level playing field if athlete B is using a substance to be the exact same level as athlete A?
Well, we talked previously about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. I think what they're trying to refer to as a level playing field is intrinsic factors versus extrinsic factors, right? If it's coming from within, if it's coming from your genetics, that's kind of considered natural. If it's coming from an external source, something that you're injecting into your ass, then,
And that's
maybe
why
that's what's considered unfair.
Yeah.
That's
And I
why
think
the
that's where they
genetically
draw the line. Yeah.
Will
are always
be
the best
superior.
superior, and that's
Yeah.
sports. That's the way
Yeah.
it's meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I reckon they should do an Olympics though, where there's no testing, just the Super Olympics.
Is that not Mr. Olympia?
Well,
No, it's
I mean,
WWE.
like, I want to see.
Isn't that the
I want
Arnold
to see a
Classic?
guy throw a javelin
Me too.
3.5 Ks.
Me too. When I go see sports, I want to see some superhuman
Yeah.
dude. I don't care what he's on, but if he does something that I find entertaining, I'll pay for that seat. I
But-
want to pay for. I don't want to pay
But it
to
needs to
sit
be
and watch a
agreed.
regular dude kind of run around on a track.
No, it needs to be agreed with all athletes beforehand. So then
Yeah.
it's like go for it.
But I think once you, like
But
you
then
said,
it's all about who got the best chemist, right?
not
And
necessarily because the
I think
guy
it is
that's
because
gifted-
it's not the athlete. It's
chemist.
the mind behind them that, like look at that doctor in Icarus.
yeah.
He was the mind behind everything,
Yeah,
right?
right.
If you got a doctor like that on your side, then obviously, it's all about who's got the
But we
best.
start
doctor.
going down that path, and obviously the moral aspect.
That's what I'm
of it,
saying. Let's
right?
not go down
You know
there.
what
Let's
you
not
call
talk
your
about
kid jabbing gear because he
We're-
wants. You know what I mean?
We've
Like-
gone down a rabbit hole here. What else?
we
What
shouldn't-
else
we
is
shouldn't
going on
talk about
Hal in
this.
sports?
Oh, look, it's 4:30 already. Jeez.
Musashi does not endorse this.
No.
Musashi definitely does not endorse the use of
banned substance.
banned substances.
But that's up to you.
This next title is juicy. Former athlete of the year revealed to extraordinary betrayal from those closest to her that pushed her into a career in pornography.
Do you see this? So there was a gymnast from the Netherlands. Her name is Verona van der Lua, 34-year-old.
What's her name? I'll just look it up for research.
Remember, your wife's watching this.
Oh.
So she was like the golden girl of gymnastics when she burst onto the scene. I think she competed European Championships at age 14. Her parents actually stole all her money that she had saved from lifelong sports, or not lifelong sports, but her career in sports. And basically, she then chose to go down the path of making porn to earn money.
So she was 14. What's the age? Her age now?
She's
Hopefully-
34 now.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep.
No, she's not. She's not still 14.
I was going to say. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the life of an amateur athlete is pretty tough as far as financially, and especially when your parents are stealing money off you as well. But I don't know, where does the choice to just my parents ripped me off. Now I've
Now I've
got
gotta
no
suck some
choice.
dick
I have
on
to get
camera.
into porn. Yeah.
Oh gosh. What's the reasoning? Give me more context. How did
Probably she's good looking.
So she blamed her
somebody.
friends, what did she
Somebody
say?
approached her. Probably, here's a way to get some extra cash. I don't know.
Alright.
I don't really know the story behind it, but there's so many athletes that are affected right now by coronavirus and all the incomes are at
What's
jeopardy.
that got to do with being a porn star though?
Well, imagine you only get one shot at the Olympics in your life, right? And everything's riding on that. And the Olympics just got cancelled. So, what are you going to do?
I'm going to have sex on camera. That's what I'm going to do right there.
Of course.
Well,
Yeah, makes total sense. Now, listen, I think...
Would you be a specialist on the pommel horse or the vault or what?
I think, honestly, there's got to be some psychological reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Who knows? And you can sit here and guess all day long. Maybe it's a way for her to rebel against the parents, always kind of, I don't know, for whatever way they raised her. She wasn't happy with it. Now she's rebelling against it, and this is her way of rebelling. Who knows? Maybe she's...
Yeah, we don't really know the full story, and we don't know her, so we don't really know why she got into it. But good luck to her. If she's making plenty of money and that's what she wants to do, who are we to judge? What else you got, Al?
let's not get into the moral debates of different people's choices today.
We've got an article about the coronavirus turning one of the Olympic athletes' tattoos into something rather unfortunate.
Well, it was an athlete that was getting all excited for the Olympics, and you know how athletes go out and they get the 5 rings and the Tokyo 2020 on them, the book of 5 rings. Yeah, so they get the Olympic tattoo. Yep. So he went and got 2020 tattoo, and it's obviously not happening in 2020.
No.
It's now 2021. It's pretty hard to make a 0 into a 1 with a tattoo too, isn't it?
No, but is it coloured? Because you can get that lasered, right?
Yeah, but it's still, you got Olympics 2020.
Oh,
it's going to go down in history as Olympics. It never happened.
It's a good story anyway, isn't it? And people aren't going to remember.
Yeah.
Just cross out the 0 and put a 1 and then kind of have a little tongue in cheek when people ask about it. Go, originally it was this.
Or turn the 0 into like the picture of the coronavirus. You know that little thing? That you see?
It's a good
Colour
idea.
it green, yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's why I'm in marketing.
It would suck. I mean, for a lot of people, tattoos are like big deals and all this stuff. But to me, because obviously I'm tattooed already, it's not a big deal. I would just either get it lasered, change it, or just be happy with it. And when people ask, it's a story. You can talk, oh man, I was actually in the Olympics. Like he's going to be 50 one day, or she, and they're going to look back and go, oh, that was the coronavirus year and this is what happened. And it's got a story behind it at least.
Yeah. Everything's got a story.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're an old man with the Olympics 2020, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. No,
there was no Olympics that year.
You could have worse things tattooed on your body.
Liar.
You know what I mean? Like you have like a big wang tattooed on your face or something. Like that's...
Oh, I'm booked in to get that done.
Once again, we're not talking about people's moral choices.
Yeah, if you're coming to this podcast for moral decisions and a moral guide, this is not the podcast.
If you don't like our podcast, just leave a comment below. Let us know what you didn't like, and we'll make sure we fix that up for the next.
Yeah, we'll delete your comment. And what else, Hal? Anything else?
Yeah. So those have been a couple of dark stories. We've got a little bit of light in that basketball fans may be eligible for refunds for the 6-foot Boomers versus USA.
So when the USA were out here, was it last year?
Yep.
Yeah.
Last year they that was at which stadium?
Etihad, which is now Marvel.
Etihad Stadium for a basketball game. They basically had just all floor seating. There wasn't tiered seating. Mm-hmm. So people going in there expecting to see the Boomers versus the USA, this big basketball game, huge crowd. They get there, it's basically all just flat floor seating. So if you got Hal in front of you, 12-year-old 7'3" Hal, I can't see a thing going on. So there was heaps of complaints at the time, and now they're refunding people that are.
I've been to the stadium twice.
Is it just the short people they're refunding, or?
Yeah, you and I would have and Dhiren would have no hope.
Yeah. No, I've been to the stadium twice. First time was to see Ronda Rousey get knocked out. And Whittaker fought on that card as well against Uriah Hall. Second time was Whittaker versus Adesanya. And first time I was right up in the nosebleeds, right? You couldn't see anything. So such a big stadium to have.
Why don't they do something about that? How can they... Doesn't someone with the brain that's kind of switch on say, hey, how are you going to see if it's flat seating?
Well, it wasn't really thought through. I think that stadium is designed for football games.
Yeah.
Even the UFC at that stadium is tough. Unless you've got really good seats, it is hard to see what's going on inside of a small cage.
Like I was saying, first time I was up in the nosebleeds. It was like watching ants. I basically watched the whole fight on the TV. Then this time for the latest fight, I was
watching on TV.
We had the best seats in the house. So
just watch ants in the backyard have a fight.
That's it. Anything else, Hal?
Last one, some more good news. The NRL talking about restarting the season.
So much controversy around NRL.
I need some sport to come back, please.
Well, I sent you that sport, the video to watch. Those 2 dogs fighting over a bone.
Yeah, it's exciting. That's the best sport on the internet right now.
The NRL trying to make a comeback April...
1st of May.
1st of May.
Yeah.
1st of May. But they've been going at each other, or Channel 9 and the NRL have sort of been going at each other with
There's a $1 billion broadcast deal behind that. So.
Contractual agreements as far as broadcast, they've been giving them a lot of money for the broadcast deal for a lot of years, and now sort of Channel 9 are questioning, what have you done with all that money for so many years? Why is it the AFL seems to be in a better position, whereas the NRL seems to have sort of crumbled in a shorter amount of time. So, but they're obviously looking to get back playing as quick as possible. But I think it's going to come with a new amended broadcast deal. But it'd be good to see some sport get back.
Any sport, really. I'm just, I have this this appetite that needs filling just to watch some kind of sport. But if the NRL comes back, it'll be good. But I just read something yesterday that Australian borders might even be closed for a year until the end of the year.
You're kidding?
What?
A year?
You got a trip planned?
Yeah.
Where to?
October.
Wuhan?
Going to Maldives.
Are you?
Originally my honeymoon, which is my honeymoon,
Oh.
was supposed to be March, but then a week before the borders closed. Okay, we can't go. So we, lucky enough, we could postpone and got credits for the flights. We've postponed it until October. We still got the option to change it again if we want. But a year, that's a long time.
Well, nobody knows what's going to happen. I just read something. It was in the Sydney Morning Herald, though, that it's going to be for a while.
This is my point of view.
I don't make the rules, man.
Calm down, buddy. Relax.
He's just the messenger.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I think that if we look at other countries that have flattened the curve, like your Singapore and your I was going to say North Korea for a second, South Korea, that have flattened the curves and they've done amazing jobs at it.
But Singapore's getting a resurgence as well right now because they prematurely reduced the social distancing.
Sure, so we can learn from that as well.
Yeah.
So I think if we follow suit and learn, I think within a year for sure we'll be back. I think we'll be back. If we decide
nobody knows.
If we decide right now to close the borders for that long, shut down all the businesses for that long, think about the economic situation we're going to be in.
It's not going to happen.
And then the civil reaction that we'll get to that. You know what I mean? That's how riots start and whatnot. And
well, it's all about, increasing the medical capacity until then. And it's a big debate, how important is, saving the economy, saving the way of life versus saving lives, so.
It is.
No, like you said, no one knows.
People
are saying we'll never shake hands or hug people ever again.
Yeah.
I'm shaking hands.
Yeah, I'll hug you. I'll hug you, Phil. Don't worry.
Cool. We'll make out later.
Phil needs hugs. Anything else, Hal? Is that it?
No, that's it for now. I think let's get to the topic.
Let's get on to the topic. Today's topic is on weight loss. Tips for weight loss.
Tips for weight loss in isolation.
Isolation.
We've got general weight loss tips. I think it still applies outside of isolation. We've got Phil in because, mate, you are you're good at this. You are.
Am I?
Well, you are. Okay. You are. You're
24/7 shredded.
24/7 lean, shredded. No, you've been at different points of your life. You've been sort of basically in competition shape. So we thought, who better to get in and discuss this? And the three of us have. I think we all agree in principle on the basics of weight loss, but I think we have some different views, which I think
we've debated
and listeners will find interesting. We have debated this many times in here before.
Yes.
But I guess the goal of this, it's all from a good place. Okay, we're not saying what you're doing out there.
This is the disclaimer before we choke each other to
death. Well, I need a disclaimer from the last episode. And it's just like, you know what? It is what, like we said before, don't come here for all life advice. We get things wrong. We're evolving. We're growing. Sometimes we'll say the right thing. Sometimes we'll say the wrong thing. But it all comes from a good place. So just know that. But I think weight loss is a topic that everyone wants to know about. It really applies to everyone. No one wants to really be overweight. Everyone wants to be in optimal shape. So it definitely applies to everyone. And everyone's got different philosophies and different techniques that work for them. And some people have no philosophies and no techniques. And that's what we're trying to do today. We're going to break it down simply, a few different tips and techniques.
Sure.
But I think the purpose of this is while you're in isolation, whether it be weight loss or read more or do a course or use this time to get better at something. And that might be, for a lot of listeners, losing weight. You've now got more time on your hands. You're still allowed to get out and exercise and do cardio. So just, I think the moral of this is use this time to get better at something.
Like I said in the last episode, it's very easy to fall in the trap and become a popcorn factory,
I thought you were going to say porn star for a second.
No. You know, your pantry's full of snacks.
Yeah.
All you're doing is processing them with your mountain of toilet paper.
Sure.
So
Yeah, but use this time to learn about weight loss and experiment. I mean, Nelson Mandela sat in a prison for 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you think he just sort of curled up in a ball and gave up?
27 years.
27 years. Well, you'd know better than
you
anyone.
gotta
That's-
watch it.
27 years, no phone, no family, no communication.
So
you know?
use that time to analyse the world, analyse himself, come up with ways that he could make the world a better place and use that time wisely. It's easy just to give up and sort of put your head down.
I think also in saying that, if I can add, also utilising this time to become better. And sometimes to become better, some people out there need to actually use this time as a rest, because you could be one of those guys that's non-stop all the time,
That's me.
hitting the gym twice a day, running your own business, got a full family. Maybe you should use this time now to rest and switch some things off that don't need to be switched on right now. And then knowing that after a couple of months, you're going to come back and hit it twice as hard. And now you're reinvigorated, you're remotivated, you've got that energy, you can restructure things and use it as downtime, but effective downtime, because I think that's important as well.
One of the things that I've read is, you know, they're predicting a lot of people to come out of this overweight, and, you know, obviously obesity and things like that have a big implication on health in society. So, you know, they're saying if people don't take care of your body weight and your health during this period, it could be even more detrimental to society than the coronavirus itself. Because, you know, think about how many people die from, you know, non-communicable disease, like things that are can be prevented by diet and exercise,
Yeah, sure.
versus, you know, this big ominous thing that's going to kill a lot of people if we don't take care of it.
that's
So,
right.
you know, it's are we creating another problem by people getting overweight and destroying their bodies with Netflix and popcorn?
Are we doing that, or are they doing that to themselves?
Or are they doing it to themselves?
I think they are. And I think this leads into, I think everyone needs to ask themselves a few questions before they start a weight loss journey or a good nutritional plan journey. Is your mind right? Like, is this, because your mind is the most important tool for weight loss. You can exercise all you want. You can do 3 exercise sessions a day. But if you get home and you've got weak willpower when it comes to nutrition, all that hard work's going to be undone. So your mind needs to be right. How important is weight loss to you? Because are you doing it for someone else? Are you doing it for yourself? Like, has something happened, like you said, in your life?
Yeah.
There was an event that made you get into fitness training. Or are you doing it to please someone else? Because I don't think that's the right motivation either.
Yeah.
But doing it to, I mean, just on that point, sometimes doing it for a reason that we might see as immature or vain, if that's enough to get you in the gym and get you in shape, okay, use it. It might not last forever.
But it's still a reason for yourself. It's a vanity reason. It might be a vanity reason. It might not be as valid as a health reason, but it is to that person.
Yeah, that's exactly. So you can't rule that out, because I
No.
feel like, just for an example, some of these young dudes that follow me that are like 18, 19, 20, wouldn't get in shape simply to have a six-pack thick, and that's going to
Shredded for a festival.
Sure, or even that.
You know how many thousands of people probably shred for festivals,
That's
and
right.
you know, you can't dismiss that as, you know, young guys
And all that's doing
just
is-
trying to look good. It's a tangible outcome that
That's
you're
right.
trying to train
So
towards.
I think that's silly, or not silly, but for me, that's a reason I wouldn't use anymore.
Mate,
However,
they're in
I
their
can understand-
20s. They're doing it to go to a music festival to attract the opposite sex and to get a life partner, and then the life goes on from there.
That's Hal's got his hands up. So to me, that's a valid reason, as much as it's not a reason I use now.
But it's a reason for self-confidence as well.
and it's
That's-
better than sitting at home, eating crap and not lifting a weight. It's better than that.
And you know, when I first got into training, and it was about vanity for me, and I can openly say that. And you got your mates that aren't into training. Oh, look at this guy doing it for the show and the six-pack. He just wants to flex in the mirror. And like, dude, you're doing nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, at least I'm doing something. And in 20 years' time, it might not be for vanity. It might be health, fitness, longevity.
Could be anything, yeah.
And it is for me now. That's what it's about. It's about longevity. And it doesn't matter what the reason is, as long as you've got a strong reason that you want to do it for yourself.
And I totally agree with you. I think if there's one point I want to get across to the listeners and the watchers now, is that you've got to get in the right mindset. You've got to find a solid reason or a why that's going to basically, whether it pulls you or pushes you into getting up, finding a routine and doing something, having that reason that's going to push you into getting up. It could be something as vain as I just want to have a six-pack so I can attract the chicks and get laid or whatever. Could be, well, I've got a bit of trauma that I've went through because my old man was sick or whatever, and I don't want to be like that.
Yep.
Could be my kids, could be the family, it could be for whatever. But as long as the first thing you got to do is you got to find that. You got to find that.
Find
It
the
could be
motivation. Yeah.
extrinsic or intrinsic, like we just talked about before, right? You know, if it's coming from yourself, like you know that you need to lose this weight, or you know, say you're shredding for your wedding, something like that. You know, something
for
to
your wedding. Yeah.
something to train towards.
Definitely.
For a holiday.
Throughout my whole journey, my reason has changed so many times.
Exactly.
Millions of times. For the vanity, whether it's for health, whether it's for the missus, whether it's for something silly, whatever. And that's, to me, I've learnt that you need something.
It's so true. Throughout your journey of training, you do. And it's the same thing with me. When I first got into jiu-jitsu, I think I was 115 kilos. I'm weighing in at like 85 now because I soon realised that, okay, for me to be good at this sport and not just use pure strength and try and kill people with strength, because that doesn't work in jiu-jitsu.
Right, yeah.
I'm going to need to drop some weight, drop a bit of muscle mass so that I can practice jiu-jitsu efficiently at an optimal weight. But like I said, in the past, it's been for reasons of vanity, but it doesn't matter what the reason is. And I think another important thing is to truly understand that the journey of weight, I shouldn't even say weight loss, it's good nutrition, really. The journey of good nutrition for weight loss, if you like, it's not a quick fix.
No.
I see all these 10, 12-week programs out there, and I mean, that's a good kickstart, but generally what happens is people do these 10, 12-week programs, and then they'll blow out at the end of it, and then a blowout becomes another blowout, and then, a month's gone past and you put a majority of that weight back on. So this is not a quick fix.
Yeah.
It's a change of life. Weight loss is a change of life, or good nutrition. And it should be, you can go through phases where you might put on 2 or 3 kilos here or there, but you're eating good, and it's easy just to quickly fix that up. And I mean, what we do is not yo-yo dieting, but we go through phases where we relax a little bit. We might put on 2 or 3 kilos, and then you look in the mirror and you go, oh, I need to tighten things up here. But we're eating healthy 95% of the time.
It's the lifestyle that we live, and then you may fall off purposely. Oh, well, you know what, this Saturday is going to be my wife's birthday or whatever, and I'm going to have a big feast with her. But then on Sunday, I'm back to my normal life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that 95% of the time you live in this lifestyle, and you either purposely or maybe sometimes accidentally fall off, but then it's so easy because you're used to it. You're used to that structure and that routine. You get back into it. It's just the way you are. Whereas some people are the other way around. They live a lifestyle that's not good for them, so to speak. And then every now and again they have little spurts of, well, I'm going to have a salad today and go for a run.
I know.
But then the next day they're back to
It's the consistency.
Yeah,
It's what you do regularly, not what you do now and then that makes
right,
the biggest
that's right.
difference.
Consistency is king.
Yeah.
That consistent.
It's the king. So when it comes to nutrition, the type of diet that you utilize, I think it's, to me, one of the keys is find the diet / lifestyle, whatever that is, that you personally can be most consistent with.
How many things have you tried over the years? How many different diets?
Heaps.
And what? Yeah.
Everything from keto, low carb, intermittent fasting, starvation diet, the dirty dreamer bulk diet, whatever you want. Like whatever you pick it, I've tried it.
Yep.
And
so what you've settled on now, you've found optimal for you. You've
100%.
done trial and error throughout many, many years, and your body's changed over that time as well. So you've had to adjust it. What is the main principle of weight loss that you would say is most effective for majority of people?
For majority, definitely some type of flexible dieting approach.
Yep.
Following the basis of calories in versus calories out.
Yeah. So you're big on calories in versus calories
Very
out
big.
with some flexible dieting so that you can still live a life.
Yes, that's right. For me personally, and obviously this is my opinion and my anecdotal evidence, I find that works best for me because I can have what I want when I want it, as long as I follow certain guidelines, right? It's not about just fitting as much crap in as you can. There's guidelines you've got to follow and respect. You've got to respect it. And then it's for me, it's the best. I was like, what? I would never go to anything else right now.
So calories in versus calories out, how are you, and this is for people that are maybe just looking at nutrition, right? Let's dumb it right down. How are you figuring out how many calories Phil Host needs to eat in a day just to maintain?
So this is where a lot of people, it gets a little bit, I don't want to say sticky, but it gets a little bit, now you've got to sit down, you've got to figure some stuff out. And some people, and there's some habits you have to do as well. And some people aren't open to those habits. So for me, I have to sit down and figure out okay, roughly, what's the ballpark figure amount of calories I'm personally burning a day with my lifestyle?
So you're taking into account sort of resting calories that you need just to sort of maintain,
Just to stay alive.
Then the cardio and weight training that you're doing each day, how many calories you're burning through there.
Sure. So all that has to be taken into account.
Yep.
Then you can use, these different, equations that you can use that are out there online.
Yep.
Go in, punch in your details.
There's different apps that you can use
All
as
that
well.
stuff,
Calculate
Musashi
all this.
website.
So you can figure, Musashi website, you can figure out roughly how many calories am I burning a day, my weight and my height, my lifestyle. Okay, so I'm burning roughly 2,500.
Yep.
So that's
what
my
are you
baseline.
what are you doing? Like if your goal now is okay, I need to get shredded for a wedding or your trip to the Maldives, right? What adjustments are you making to your calories in? How much are you reducing it? Are you changing the type of calories that you're eating?
The context, if I can have some more context, it depends on how much time I've got.
Okay, say 2,500 calories for you a day is maintaining your weight.
Yep.
How much are you dropping in calories for weight loss?
Initially, to answer that question in a nutshell, as little as possible.
Right.
As little as possible. However, the time is the variable there. If I've only got 2 months to get in shape, okay, well, I've got to have a more aggressive drop now because I've only got 2 months. However, if I've got 6 months, well, it doesn't have to be such an aggressive drop in calories.
Yep.
And the reason why you don't want it to be so aggressive because you don't want such a massive fluctuation in your lifestyle because that's where people fall off when there's a big change in lifestyle. It's like getting a fish out of its normal water and then dropping it into another fish tank that's extremely cold. It's probably, how long is it going to last? It'll probably die after 10 minutes.
Is that what happens to all my goldfish?
Literally happens.
No aquatic life experts.
Basically,
I drop ice cubes
the
in
shock in dropping ice cubes.
But what you're saying is true. The bigger the drop, the bigger, almost the self-defense mechanism of your body is going to try and compensate. And actually, that's where you probably see the biggest weight regain after dieting is.
And that's even if you get it off to begin with, because most people won't last with such a massive shock in their lifestyle.
Yeah. Let me spit some science here real quick.
Brother.
So, there's a few things that we know for certain in nutrition because, there's so many factors in your lifestyle and it's quite hard to, study things in nutrition. Stress affects you, sleep affects you. It's very hard to have a control study for a lot of things. But one of the things that we do know for certain is that weight loss comes down to the simple equation you talked about, calories in versus calories out. Where it's a bit cloudy is, calories in versus calories out. A lot can change both ends of that equation. And, I know you saying you track your macros quite religiously. So there's a few ways that you can actually control this calorie balance, right? Caloric restriction is what you're doing, right? You're counting how much in and ensuring, how much out matches that. But there's also time restriction and dietary restriction where you can, limit carbohydrates, limit fat, something like that, or, limit the time that you eat.
How are you doing it? Are you simply reducing the portion sizes of these meals that you're already eating? Are you dropping calories by, obviously fat carry more calories per gram than protein and carbs? Are you looking to reduce fat because of their high caloric structure? How are you doing it? Are you just reducing portion sizes, or are you eliminating certain types of macronutrients to get down?
The easiest, for me personally, the easiest thing to do is to drop the fats a little bit.
Yep.
Because like you said, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So as soon as you skim some fat, you're already taking off 200-300 calories just by skimming fat. And that could literally mean, okay, don't butter your bread every morning.
Yep.
That could make the difference. Or don't have so much peanut butter on your bread.
Yep.
Or cut the fat somehow. And for me, that's the easiest way because instantly that'll drop me from 2,500.
Yep.
Now I'm already 2,200 and it doesn't feel like I'm changing my lifestyle at all. Right?
Yep.
So wouldn't that be the best way where you can drop calories and it doesn't even, you can't even feel it?
So what do they recommend? Dropping calories by sort of 300 to 500 calories a day, best for weight loss?
It really depends, how long you're trying to, how long you want to commit to this.
The time.
I would recommend if someone is doing this, obviously it's a lifelong journey, but no less than, say, 16 to 18 weeks. And we're in the muscle gain business as well, strength and performance. I think the quicker that you try to do this, the more muscle wastage you're going to get as well by restricting calories too much. So you want to do it over a longer period of time by reducing calories as little as possible,
Skim it.
you said, Phil.
Yeah, skim it.
Yeah, so having sufficient calories has a muscle preserving effect, right? But, if you are on a big caloric deficit, that's where, having extra protein in your diet can help. Obviously, having sufficient protein can prevent your muscles from breaking down too much. But, there's there's more than one way to
Skip
reduce the calories, right? You don't have to reduce the fat.
Sure.
Some
Reduce
people
the carbs.
Some people love to reduce the carbs, and the other side of this is there's kind of a debate in nutrition.
Why would you want to reduce carbs?
Here we
That
go.
sounds crazy.
Here we go.
No
You
way.
ready? You ready to jump on the roller coaster, guys?
Oh, here we go.
Reducing carbs already. I think we've just lost a few listeners as soon as you say reducing carbs.
Well, I guess this is probably where I'll jump in. For me, I get what you're saying, and I agree with it in principle. I agree calories in versus calories out is the fundamental way to lose weight, right? And have a good nutritional plan. For me, what it comes down to, and I'm going to give a hypothetical here, which no one would do, but it's a hypothetical. Say you're on.
No one would do it.
Well, let's just say you're on 2,500 calories a day, right?
Yep.
That whole 2,500 calories you eat in jelly beans, or that whole 2,500 calories you eat in wild-caught salmon.
So
Is your body going to respond to 2,500 calories differently because of the different types of food? And I guess this might be a question for Dhiren as well, like a scientific answer.
Well-
each different food has a different hormonal response,
Yep.
Affects the gut differently, has a different energy output. Like there's so many, while I agree with you, there's so many other factors that come into play when you're talking about calories in versus calories out, because
very much so. It sounds like a simple equation, but it can get very complicated very quickly. And there are these hormonal changes, metabolic changes that play a big deal. Right. So, everybody's in control of what goes into their mouth, right? And that's where you probably, the biggest control of calories in happens. But, what happens when it's into your body, your nutrient partitioning and things like that, what your body does with these calories is different from person to person. And that can be affected significantly by your diet and the amount of, different types of foods in your diet. So there's two schools of thoughts, if it fits your macros, eat that shit. That's like a legit way to lose fat. The other school of thought is, what you eat does matter. Eating minimally processed food, eating healthy stuff, maxing out on vegetables, fiber, getting sufficient protein, that actually has a significant impact on your metabolism and your hormones and things like that. So the real debate that exists is what's more important, having your macros down to a T, which we know is very important, or, really stressing, no sugar, eating this clean lifestyle that a lot of people like to think of.
Sure. And look, my opinion on that is that and what I've seen is that there's always people kind of bagging flexible dieting because somehow it has this stigma that flexible dieting means filling your macros with burgers and jelly beans, for example. But it should
because
be both.
people put a burger photo up and say, I'm shredding, but I'm eating burgers.
Or people are selling their meal plan saying that come and do my meal plan because you can eat donuts and still lose weight. It's just the people that are advertising it wrong. And they're putting this stigma out there that flexible dieting is just donuts and jelly beans, and as long as it fixes your macros, bro, that's all good. And it should be both. You should be having 80%, 90% whole foods, nutritious foods, nutrition dense foods, vitamin rich, and then if you hit 80-90% of your calories through that in a day, now it allows you to have jelly beans, donuts, and that to me sounds like the perfect way to do it. Obviously, having 2,500 calories worth of jelly beans in a day is obviously that's not plausible.
Challenge
but you
accepted.
It's challenging, yeah. Well, let's try it now. Here we've got, bring it in. We've got the jelly beans.
Forget your push-up challenge. We're going right now.
So I think, and I really want to stress this, you've got to have some discipline.
Yes.
And there has to be some mental discipline in there where you realize, and people need to teach this properly. You know what I mean?
The thing with fat loss is there is no shortcut. You know?
There's no shortcut. 100%.
It requires discipline. You either have to, track your macros. If you're not willing to track your macros or, really pay attention to what you're having, like in terms of, the quality of your food, the quantity and the quality, right? Then you're not going to lose weight. Tough shit, right?
I think everyone just wants the easy way out.
Yeah.
They want, what's the easiest way that I can go from here to here, not have to do as much as hard work, and I can enjoy the foods I eat because I don't have to mentally...
I'll do anything to lose weight, except diet and exercise.
Yeah,
like the thing that works, right?
So I think that's what the biggest challenge from most people is, and the biggest misconception with the whole flexible dieting is that people are advertising it, with donuts and cookies and stuff, and
I think you nailed it there, Phil.
Yeah.
People are advertising it
Yeah.
as though that is the main staple of that type of diet.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a hook. It's trying to get those mainstream people in. Oh, I could still eat donuts and still lose weight. And that's the hook. It's a marketing trick basically from them that are trying to sell that.
100%.
And you said you've tried every diet out there.
Yeah.
I'm the same. And my body has changed over the years. When I was a young guy playing footy and things like that, I was eating bucket loads of calories and not putting on weight. Over the years, I've had different responses to different foods. And I'm sort of in that, I'm not set on any one diet by any means. And I've been a strong advocate recently of like a low carb or a keto style diet, only because as a 80 something year old man, like I'm getting my response to carbohydrates, regardless of the type of carbohydrates, is getting worse and worse. I get bloated, I get sleepy, I get foggy in the brain, I get water retentive. Sure. So that's my response to carbs, and I'm saying like, and I've got a million mates that are doing bodybuilding comps and things like that. They maintain carbs all the way up until the day of their show. And I remember when I was doing bodybuilding comps, if I did that, which I tried, I looked like shit. But when I restricted my carbohydrates and upped my fats, so I'm still getting sort of similar sort of calories, but from a different fuel source. I'm getting it from fats. I found that has worked better for me. I've dropped weight. I'm less water retentive. I've got a clearer mind. I'm not getting sleepy. I'm bursting with energy. So I think the important thing that people should take out of today is, look, what you say might not be for everyone. That's what I say might not be for anyone, but it works for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's experimenting. Try all these different methods and see what works for you. Dhiren, you've recently experimented with intermittent fasting. So what was your experience with that?
Have you eaten yet today?
I haven't.
He hasn't eaten in 3 years.
Yeah.
He's going. It's a new type of intermittent fasting.
My arms used to be bigger.
Starving. So you haven't eaten today at all?
No, I did. I'm not doing it right now, but I'm a massive fan of intermittent fasting, and your body has a magic way of regulating.
Hang on. From a scientific standpoint, you start off the sentence with a magic way.
I love my magic, right? Magic way of regulating calories in versus calories out, right?
Science is magic.
It's called appetite, right? Okay. That's the magic way your body regulates your calorie intake. So with intermittent fasting, well, what I do is not really what I would consider intermittent fasting. It's more time restricted eating. Where you have a window of period where you don't eat. Versus
it's the same concept as intermittent fasting. There's a window where you don't eat.
It is, but I would call intermittent fasting, where you typically don't fast for 24 hours. Wow. Shout out to my boy Dean, who just did a 72-hour fast.
Is he still with us?
He's still here.
He's starved to death.
But I'm actually thinking about doing maybe like a 48-hour fast. I'm stuck at home, might as well shred. But when you're experiencing this hunger in this intermittent fasting, what's happening is,
probably start by explaining what is intermittent fasting.
Good idea. So, intermittent fasting is simple. Time restricted eating is what I was trying to say. Is simple. It's basically you don't eat for a period of time, and then you have a certain window where you do eat. For example, you have 24 hours in a day, 16 hours a day. You don't eat. 8 hours you eat regularly.
So give us an example day.
An example day is...
You wake up, you don't eat till...
So, you have your last meal, dinner time, 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't eat again till 12 the next day. That's 16 hours of not eating, right? All you can have is water.
Are you still consuming, within that 8-hour window, are you still consuming the same amount of calories that you would if you weren't doing intermittent fasting?
The idea is to not consume an excess. Some people binge out in this 8 hour, but the idea is just to eat according to your appetite.
So it's giving your digestive system a good break.
It's giving your digestive system a good break, and these other hormonal adaptations and autophagy and things like that goes on, which we won't really talk about today. But ultimately, how every good diet works is by implementing this calorie deficit onto you, right? Like I said, you're following. By controlling your macros, right, and counting everything that goes in, that's caloric restriction. What Ross is doing is, limiting the carbohydrates. That's dietary restriction. You're restricting a food group. What I was doing is time restriction, right? So I'm more focused on when I eat rather than what I eat, right, during this intermittent fasting period.
So this is for sort of everyday people. What about athletes? What about performance? Because you've said sort of when you were doing intermittent fasting, great for weight loss.
Yeah,
you didn't feel quite as strong.
Yeah, so
for your powerlifting.
Yeah, I definitely, when it came to squat and and things like that, I didn't have that same level of strength. And really, it depends on the type of activity that you're doing as well.
Yep.
If it's quite high intensity, then you're probably gonna have to want to be quite well fueled. But a lot of athletes can perform well during a fast.
Yeah.
There's soccer players that fast every year for Ramadan, and they play every year.
There's a lot of endurance athletes now switching over to a keto style diet, using fat as their main energy source, and some of the best in the world are on that keto style diet. So it's again what works for you.
Yeah.
But I think as an all round general guide, I think Phil's way of just calories in versus calories out, including carbs, fats, proteins, and good vitamins and minerals, is probably best for performance athletes.
Well, this is the thing.
As a blanket statement.
It depends.
As a blanket statement, but we can't blanket because I think one thing I want to point out here is every lifestyle that you want to choose has its areas, I guess, that are the bits that are hard to do for some people. For example, intermittent fasting. Not everybody's prepared to go through the fasting period.
To experience that hunger.
Yeah,
people can't handle it.
I couldn't.
I love the mental challenge of it, but some people struggle.
With flexible dieting, not everybody wants to count everything away, everything with an app. I can understand how that's so tedious for some people.
But you're only doing that for a certain amount of time until you get a good idea of how much of everything.
Then you can kind of eyeball.
I mean, you're pretty religious with weighing foods and things like that. But I mean, if you didn't have the calorie tracker, you'd have a good idea of what to eat.
With experience, eventually you can just get to the point where you can eyeball stuff.
Yeah.
4 sausages is usually 200 grams or whatever. You know what I mean? And with keto style, obviously not everybody's prepared to, I can't eat bread or something. You know what I mean? So there's always a sticking point.
Yep.
But the overall general consensus is find the one that you can adhere to the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Compromise the little bits that are difficult. You either have to do them or you can't do this lifestyle.
The best diet is the diet that you stick to.
100%. And that's the underlying factor here across all.
So how I structure my nutrition nowadays is I just have a target number of protein that I want to hit every day. Once I hit that protein, then I just focus on minimally processed food, try and get enough fiber. Fiber is super important for a lot of reasons. And then, try and make sure I eat a variety of colored food to get enough micronutrients in.
All right, here's a question for both of you. We talked about sort of time restricted, calories in versus calories out. It used to be, sort of going back 10 years, it used to be, I don't know, you got to eat 5 to 6 meals a day. Every 3 hours, you got to get the amount of protein and carbs, and people are eating more frequently to speed up their metabolism. But since intermittent fasting's come in and there's just a window to eat, people might only be eating 3 meals a day. What are you guys doing? Are you eating 5 meals a day still, or are you?
I usually have roughly 5. So I'd have like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then 2 snacks or meals, little meals in between.
So what, like 3 or 4 hours in between each meal? Or?
Yeah, roughly. But I don't because of a routine. But I don't do it purposely.
Yeah. What about some days if you just feel like, I'm just not even hungry? It's been 4 hours. I'm not hungry.
If I'm not hungry, no.
Are you one of those guys that carries their chicken broccoli and rice around with them and
not
have
anymore.
to eat? It's 9.
Used to be
30,
back in 2006 when obviously there wasn't that much information out there.
Rich Piana said eat 12 times a day.
I was one of those guys that would carry around. I would eat broccoli. I thought the only way to get in shape or lose body fat was to eat broccoli and chicken breast. There can't be any flavor because flavor somehow makes you fat. I don't know how flavor makes you fat.
Well, actually, there is a root cause behind that. Tasty food, you tend to eat more. So
but that doesn't change the law is that what I'm saying is taste doesn't make you fat. It might like lure you into wanting to eat more, but that's you still eating more.
Yeah, that just comes back to your mind again.
Yeah. Well, let's expand on this topic. Okay. So there's 4 key areas that you need to focus on in fat loss for it to be successful. Number 1, diet, which we kind of talked about. Number 2, exercise, right? You still got to burn calories, right? It's calories in and calories out. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is psychological, right? Eating tasty food and things like that has a big psychological effect that you tend to overeat on calories. If you eat boring stuff like, you
want to stop because it tastes like shit.
Exactly. So, if you're eating tuna and rice every day for lunch, your body's kind of used to that, and you're not going to overeat. That your body knows what's coming, and that's going to fill you up. And the 4th factor is the social factor. If you have like like your wife, she's healthy and she's in good shape. So you guys have
Don't
similar.
talk about his wife like
He's
that,
been
mate.
on Instagram for sure.
I know, 100%.
Been on Instagram for sure.
Why are you grinning as your wife's healthy?
Your wife looks all right, Phil. She's a weapon.
Shout out to nurses.
Yeah, the frontline girls. Yeah.
So let's sort of.
But anyway, so
yeah,
the social aspect's a big part, right? And obviously, if you're going out a lot and you like to, eat out, then sometimes low carb diet might be pretty hard to stick to.
It is, and it is a factor because when you go out for a meal and it tastes good, you do tend to overeat when you go out and you're in a social situation. You'll grab a drink, alcoholic drink, so all these things come into play. So, but let's sort of get back to what we were just talking about. You're sort of saying 5 meals a day is sort of what you do. What do you, from a scientific standpoint, does it really matter how many meals we're eating a day? Like if I go 3 hours, right, as we traditionally did, and I get to that point and I'm not hungry, should I be force feeding as an athlete or as a person training?
So if you look at nutrition like a pyramid, the base of the pyramid is your calories in, calories out. One level above that is your macronutrient composition, your protein, carbs, and fat, how you tweak this.
Breakdown, yep.
One level above that is getting sufficient micronutrients, right? That's important because you need to have, vitamins and things
That's
like that to deal with the food in your body. Above that is frequency and timing, that's the least important thing that you need to worry about. I eat 2 big meals a day and pretty much a light breakfast. That's basically what I do. Although I have a few shakes throughout the day just because, it's convenient.
So I'm the same these days as well. I used to be so strict, 5-6 meals a day, every 3 hours on the clock. And these days I do it more by feel. If I'm hungry and if I've trained leg day, the next day I'm starving. So I'll consume more calories on that day because my energy output the day before was higher. Obviously I'm probably my glycogen stores are really low, or I'm just hungrier. So I'll eat more. And it's more by feel these days. But I think that comes from years of experience.
That's experience. I think for beginners, obviously they're not going to be able to, they shouldn't be doing that type of approach because they probably eat too much or not enough for performance purposes. However, I think, and the underlying, in a nutshell, point is the calories in versus calories out is the most important.
Yep.
And meal timing is towards the end and less important. Obviously 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't so much information about this freely available. So people just assumed, and somehow some myth, which has obviously been debunked now, is that you have to eat every 3 hours to stoke the metabolism. Otherwise, if you don't eat at 12 o'clock, all of a sudden all your fat would come back or you'd drop dead right there on the spot.
Well, I think for a lot of guys as well, it's like, I don't want to go into longer than 3 or 4 hours because I'm not anabolic.
Yeah.
Catabolic.
Where it comes from is the mass monsters, the big bodybuilders who need this amino acid availability in their blood all the time. So they eat 12 meals a day, and that's how a lot of bodybuilders get that. And you can't dismiss them because, they got bigger muscles than everybody. So
that's right. And the context is important here. They're 10 times bigger than everybody, plus they're utilizing other substances that changes the whole approach, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And, but there's another thing to think about when we talk about calories in and calories out is that, not every calorie is equal. It's kind of a controversial topic. Like some people it's 100 calories. I'm not eating 100 calories, but that's not the case, right? I'll give you an example. An almond. Okay, say you have 200 calories worth of almonds. Mm-hmm. When you track that, you just eat 200 calories, mark it as 200 calories.
No. Well, obviously, if I track that, and I agree with you, not every calorie is the same.
Yeah.
I would put that in as almonds in my app, or I would, so it's not the same as 200 calories of jelly beans.
Yeah. But see, what happens though? So what I was talking about, what happens within your body is also a big factor. So when you eat 200 calories worth of almonds, you actually only absorb about 75% of that, right? So 150 calories, right? What happens to the other 50 calories? Right? Almonds contain soluble and insoluble fiber. So what happens is it creates like a gel on the inside of your small intestine. So you're not actually absorbing all of these calories because if you think of fiber, there's 2 types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. It creates this barrier which prevents it from being absorbed at that initial stage, right?
Wall.
So from there, this goes into your the next part of your small intestine called the jejunum, which is where your gut bacteria live, right? So your gut bacteria you need to feed them as well, right? So basically what doesn't get absorbed, goes towards your gut bacteria. And this is why fiber is so important for gut health. And when it comes to weight loss, fiber is critical because fiber can help reduce that absorption.
Give us a few examples of fiber-filled foods.
Basically anything that's minimally processed will tend to have a good level of fiber. Vegetables, fruits, things like that, but maybe not all fruits. But it's important to remember that you need two types of fiber: soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Right? Insoluble fiber is the things like cellulose, and
Where are you getting that from? Let's give some examples. Might go over people's heads.
Okay, so if you think of like a strainer, right? And you fill the strainer with with Vaseline, right? It'll probably hold some water, right?
I'm there.
So the Vaseline is the
I'm somewhere else with Vaseline, but anyway. No.
I know.
Somewhere else with a strainer.
Yeah. Strainer on your head, Vaseline on your face. So.
Am I doing it right?
So you got Vaseline sort of on the inside of the strainer, yep.
Yeah, so think about that. That's preventing water from going through, you know, a little bit, right? So the Vaseline is the soluble fiber. The strainer itself is the insoluble fiber. So this is things like cellulose, right? Insoluble fiber is, the pieces of vegetables that make it through without being completely broken down. Then soluble fiber is, things that are found in a lot of fruit, like pectin in an apple, right?
Right.
Things that you can't typically. It's hard to describe, but right, there's heaps of soluble fiber sources, psyllium husk, all these kind of things.
Yep. Okay. Changing beat a bit. Supplements. Where do they come into play? There's a lot of fat burning supplements. You've got your extreme shreds and all this sort of stuff. Where do you guys incorporate supplements for weight loss? For me, I wait till I hit a bit of a plateau in weight loss, and then I might incorporate some basics in supplements. I'm a big fan of sort of your carnitine and any supplements that obviously help with liver function for me. I know people out there are heavily reliant on highly caffeinated supplements that just get them all buzzed up, and they think that's working for weight loss. When do you guys incorporate supplements for weight loss?
When? Would you like to answer, or would you like me to answer?
You go first.
Okay, so as far as supplements, when it comes to weight loss, that's a fat loss, weight loss. We'll pretend that they're interchangeable right now.
But let's focus on fat loss.
Okay, fat loss. So for me personally, I find that there's a lot of fluff out there when it comes to supplements, especially fat loss. I feel like every company is trying to profit off, because it's a massive thing. It's
Not every company.
No, of
Not
course.
Musashi.
A lot of companies out there, cowboys jumping in the industry. They want to try and sell something that's going to get you some
Miracle
fat loss.
miracle cures.
Yeah, and it's
Miracle claims, lose so many pounds in so many days.
That's why it gets so hard for someone to navigate through all the crap.
Yeah, so much bullshit.
And me personally, I've tried every supplement and some to try and lose body fat, or to help it, with my weight loss journey. With my experience right now, let's just say this: I've gotten in shape using fat burning supplements.
Yes.
And then I've gotten in shape without using those supplements.
Yes.
So to me, I was like, do I really need them then?
Yep.
So for me, I use the big things for me during fat loss. I would use is caffeine. And that could be in the form of a pre-workout or a fat burner. To me, it doesn't matter.
Is that just to give you energy while you're in
Exactly.
calorie restriction?
So during a calorie deficit, if it gets to the point where I start feeling lethargic,
bit flat, yep.
the caffeine gives me a nice bump.
Yep.
And it helps me. The second thing is I would also utilize L-carnitine at some point, because that is proven to be a great fat-burning tool supplement that's actually been studied, and it helps. So those are the two that I would mainly use. So when I say I would use a pre-workout or a fat burner, it's not because they're magical supplements that go inside to your body and just rip apart fat. I would use them for the caffeine purposes, which for me, caffeine gives me energy, and it also curbs my appetite. When I'm deep into the cut, and you're already at the pointy end of a cut, and you're finding it hard because you're getting cravings or you're getting hungry. I know that around, for example, I know that at 2 o'clock I'm going to start getting really hungry. I've already had lunch 2 hours ago, but I know at 2 o'clock I'll get hungry. I'll have a fat burner or a cup of coffee to help give me energy and to curb my appetite. It helps.
It's glycogen sparing as well, isn't it? Caffeine. It's been scientifically proven to you don't use as much glycogen.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. It depends on your exercise as well.
I guess so.
But so let's touch on these supplements. So caffeine, obviously, you're using to get over this lethargy that you get from being in a calorie deficit,
as well as appetite curbing. For me, that's the two things that I utilize caffeine. And if I can just add, people think that fat burners are some magical thing that you need to understand what's in it.
It's part of a program, a full nutritional and training program.
Yeah, you have to understand what's in it that's actually going to help you.
Exactly.
And then once you understand it, now you can utilize it properly, as opposed to consuming it and then checking an hour later to see if you got abs because it's going to do its magic. Like, people don't understand that.
Well,
sorry
so
what you were saying.
no. Well, I was just going to expand on what you were saying. So, caffeine. Obviously, you're using it for this energy, but also what it does is, coming back to what's the most important, calories in versus calories out. Caffeine actually increases your thermogenesis, so it increases your body temperature, which helps you burn a little bit more calories, right? There's other things like green tea, which can help suppress your appetite a bit. Then there's my two favorite supplements that I use, two nutrients, carnitine and choline, which actually help when it comes to what we were talking about nutritional partitioning before, helps to metabolize these fat cells. So get the fat out of your cell.
30-second explanation on carnitine, what it does.
So think of carnitine as being pretty important in fatty acid transport, and it actually, helps transport fat out of your cell. Let's put it that way.
To be utilized for energy.
To be utilized for oxidation and energy. Right. So, obviously you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. So if you're just topping up your diet with carnitine, it's going to be an issue. Another important thing about carnitine is that a lot of dietary restrictions, we're talking about all these things that people cut out of the diet. You tend to sometimes cut out foods that are high in carnitine. And, carnitine would be, it's a very important nutrient, right? So, red meat's high in carnitine. A lot of vegans and vegetarians don't have carnitine in their diet.
Ooh. Vegans.
Yeah.
Missing out on that big L-carnitine.
Exactly.
This is a topic for another day.
Oh, 100%. Bring me in again.
You know what I'm catching on to? There's a lot of fake vegans as well nowadays.
What's a fake vegan?
Like part-time vegans.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about those Instagram people that all of a sudden go vegan and then they're selling vegan plans and then behind closed doors they're like eating meat and stuff?
Yeah.
I think that happens so much.
But to be honest, there's nothing wrong with that, Like, it's okay to have your ideology of, being primarily plant-based and, sneaking in a couple
we just lost all of our vegan listeners, all one of them.
See you later. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
All right, so we've explored sort of nutrition and principles and supplements. The one thing I quickly want to touch on is, do you alter your training? Like, let's start with weight training. If your goal is weight loss, do you change your training as far as weights?
During the weight loss
Yep.
journey?
Say you're dieting for something particular.
I would try and keep the volume as high as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. And for me...
So you're increasing sort of your rep range or the amount of sets that you're doing?
To keep the volume at the same intensity, if that means increasing the rep range or changing the weight or changing... Yes, or even just mixing it up because I get bored.
Okay.
And sometimes it's even the case of...
So you're utilizing those weight training sessions as a way to burn more calories?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
If it can help and if I get an amazing pump out of it, even better. And another thing that I've noticed and I think is important is that sometimes, you go to the gym and all the equipment's being used. You have to use some creativity to come up with some exercise that you can do while you're waiting for that. If that could be a superset of something real quickly just before that guy finishes with the bench press. My training always changes. It's never really the same. Not because I'm trying to shock the muscle, but because the simple fact that I need to do whatever I can to keep the volume up. And sometimes that equipment's just not available.
I could imagine being a powerlifter, your training wouldn't change too much when it comes to...
Yeah, so actually, heavy resistance training is actually pretty good for fat loss. It's a very calorie intense way of training. I just want to get stronger, but if I have to get shredded as a consequence, then so be it.
What would you do if you went to go do your deadlifting session or whatever, and you've only got 45 minutes because you've got to get to work? What would you do if all the deadlifting platforms are being used?
Go and talk to some chicks, probably.
I'd wait.
But you have to go to work.
Then I wouldn't train. I would make training the priority and train when it's available.
So you'd go home and go, well, I'll come back at lunchtime.
I'll go do some yoga no, I don't know. I don't really face that problem.
You'd catch that session up, though, at a later point.
Yeah, you'd definitely catch it up. But, exercise.
Later on throughout the week.
Well, it depends, right? I wouldn't really switch around my my program like that, but I would wait for a bar. Like, I wouldn't go into a deadlift session in a rush. Never.
Yeah, right.
So when it comes to weight, say you need part of powerlifting, right? You need to be under a certain weight category. Are you changing your weights program to get under that weight, or are you solely relying on diet and maybe some cardio to get under that weight limit?
Well,
Are you leaving less rest between sets or anything like that, or are you going more reps?
This is a different topic because how a lot of powerlifters do it is typically do a bit of a water cut, much like a boxer or a fighter to meet that weight. And what you're doing in the long term of your training is going to make the biggest difference. But you wouldn't. In powerlifting, you kind of have to keep it at a high intensity before a competition. So you wouldn't want to. It's not like bodybuilding, where
you're totally depleted.
Where you're depleted.
Weakest,
Powerlifting, you literally have to be at your strongest at that moment. So
how does that work? Once if you do cut water and you lose a bit of water, how would you? What's your procedure in putting that back? Because you lose some strength, obviously.
Are you weighing in the day before?
So there's many different ways to do this. Many different ways to do a water cut, which we probably shouldn't talk about today. It'll take forever.
Is it risky, I guess, doing a water cut so close to a comp?
Like it is risky. It's risky whenever you do a water cut, and not just for powerlifting, for every single sport. And think of combat sports. How many people you've seen, collapse? Typically in powerlifting, there's two windows, right? Either a 2-hour weigh-in or a 24-hour weigh-in. So
I would never recommend water cut unless you have to for your sport.
Likewise.
It's the worst thing. Dehydration is the worst thing. So
but it's fun to manipulate your body in different ways.
Because I'm really curious about this type of stuff. How would is it? I mean, well, being a power lifter, strength doesn't exactly correlate to how heavy you are, correct?
It does. Strength kind of does correlate to how heavy you are. Bigger guys can lift more, typically, right? You wouldn't want to be extremely lean as a powerlifter, right?
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, and you don't need to, right? Think of the strongest guys in the world; they're not shredded.
Yeah,
some of them are.
Some of them are. Some of them are,
days,
like Larry Holmes. But that's the secondary focus, So let's not talk about that because we're talking about fat loss, right?
Okay, sure.
And we're talking about water weight and things like that. It can get the lines can get blurred. Our focus is not losing weight. Our focus is losing fat.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about today, right?
For me, my weight training doesn't change. I'm constantly trying to get stronger, lift heavier within a certain rep range. I will mainly use diet and cardio as my main forms to help burn calories, whilst trying to maintain as much strength as possible so I can maintain muscle mass while I'm training. So I'm not working at a faster rate or doing drops that might work for other people, and at different points in my life I have definitely done that. But over time I'm now incorporating cardio. And let's talk cardio. Yeah. You're doing some longer form stuff, some shorter sprints. Is there a preference for weight loss? Do you think that those sort of HIIT sessions, those high intensity interval training sprints are better? Or do you think it's a combination of both?
I've read that HIIT training is actually better for maintaining muscle mass. I've read somewhere, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I mix it up just because I enjoy long runs and I enjoy sprinting. So I actually enjoy both of them. And it really comes down to preference. Not everyone likes sprints.
Yep.
It's hard.
They hate them. Some people hate them. It just takes so much out of them.
I love it.
They'd rather go on long runs where they can switch off and get into a zone and get into a rhythm. I personally like both. And
how much cardio are you doing? Are you doing something every day?
Yeah, right now every day.
So mainly longer form with a couple of sprint sessions thrown in. So
it'll be basically both. So I'll do the sprints with. Me and my wife will go up to a big hill that we've got near our place and we'll run up and down several times.
How long for?
Oh, well, we do 6 rounds up and down each.
Which is what, 15 minutes?
Oh, no, probably, 15, 20 minutes, I reckon.
And then you'll incorporate a lighter jog.
And then later on, I'll go, for a consistent, just a light jog, but like a long time. That could be, depending if I do 3, 4, 5Ks, could go for half an hour, 40 minutes. I don't know. I don't really time it.
And all of this, how do you factor this into your calories in versus calories out? Are you saying, X amount of running equals X amount of calories burned?
I don't even, right now in quarantine, I don't even, I'm not super strict with my
calories. But do you typically do that?
Typically, I wouldn't.
So how do you know about, obviously you're controlling your calories in. How are you controlling your calories out? Are you, how are you tracking it though, typically when you're
I don't track calories burned.
Okay.
Because I find that's a variable that I don't want to track because... Yeah. Look, you could if you want to be. If you're going into a comp or a reason why you really needed to, everything had to be recorded and you got to make sure it's all progressive, then I would recommend that. But for me,
you're in the same training routine anyway, aren't you? I'm not saying you're doing the same exercises day in, day out, but you're in a routine where you basically know your output.
Yeah.
So you know how much food you need to eat to counteract that output.
Kind of, and this comes with this experience, and not everyone's going to be able to eyeball things like that.
Yeah.
So, like, you know,
most exercise equipment and stuff these days don't give you an accurate measure of calories burned anyway.
Well, that's my problem with calories in, calories out, is it's very hard to track, right? It's really hard to get an accurate picture, and that's why I don't track my calories, even though it's the most important thing.
But it gives you a ballpark, right?
Exactly.
So if I wanted a ballpark on how much calories I'm burning with my cardio, I could find one and then utilize that number into the data.
Exactly.
I could.
You could.
I could. And having a rough ballpark is better than not having anything at all.
Exactly. That's why everybody should track calories at some point in their life to figure out, because that's how you get a baseline and you know.
In saying that, but not marry, don't be married to it.
Don't be married to that,
Yeah.
because I don't track anything at the moment,
Yeah.
right? You know, and calories out is a very, very complicated thing, right? Okay, I'll give you an example. Chess grandmasters. How many calories do you think a chess grandmaster burns in a day?
10,000. It's high, I know.
Close, 6,000, right?
Yeah.
A chess master.
Chess
Yes.
grandmaster, just from this intense concentration, right? And
Hang on, what
You-
what's a chess master? Like playing the game chess?
chess
Yeah.
grandmaster, yeah.
Oh wow.
So
Not from.
Not a chest master.
I thought. Well,
not me, not chess master.
But there's the mental aspect of burning calories as well. Like
Wow.
Yeah.
So calories out is very, very complicated, right? So like they looked at some chess grandmasters playing for 2 hours, right? 560 calories
Shredded.
they burn, right? That's as much as Roger Federer burns in a game of tennis. In an hour of tennis is 2 hours of chess with these grandmasters, just from this high level of concentration that not a lot of people. Do you guys know about Magnus Carlsen?
No, is he sounds like a strong man.
Well, he's Norwegian, but he's the greatest chess player alive at the moment.
Not a big chess fan. Dhiren.
What?
I
When
love
did-
chess.
when-
Surprise.
Yeah, no.
When did
Surprise,
chess
surprise.
not get
Magnus
popular?
who?
Magnus Carlsen.
Sure.
Okay,
My
this
mate.
guy played 20 people blindfolded all at once and beat them all. 20 people from Harvard.
Were those other people blind as well?
Nah.
How did he beat them if
He
was
played
blindfolded?
48 games of chess on an exercise bike blindfolded.
Wow, that's multi-talented.
That's the level of concentration that these chess grandmasters have. And, you know, so calories out is complicated, right? And then, you know,
it's a hard thing to track.
in summary, it's hard.
Yeah.
Why is everything complicated?
That's
Can't
probably
you-
that's
can't
probably
you
why I don't track it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You answered my question for me extra long though.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't you just tell us how many times you sprint a week? That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Twice a week, man. Twice a
So
week.
for
But
me-
but sprinting, when it comes to calories out, there's another factor that you need to take care of, and that's called EPOC, right? Post-exercise oxygen consumption.
Yep.
The letters don't match because the acronym started in France. So it's like exercise post oxygen or something like that. But
EPOC, it stands for.
but that's
something like this.
that's why HIIT and sprinting is kind of viewed as quite good for fat loss because of this post-exercise
Afterburn kind
the
of.
afterburn effect,
yeah.
which there's still a huge debate about, you know, how much does this actually matter versus, you know, aerobic training where, you know, the post-exercise consumption is lower, but, you know, while you're doing it, you're burning more calories. So that's a huge debate.
So let's talk about this for 1 second because I feel like as the listeners would need to get something out of this.
Yeah.
There's so many different forms of cardio you can do.
Yeah.
Sure, some might be a little bit better than another,
Yeah.
but there's no point doing it if you're not going to do it consistently. And the best way to do it consistently is to enjoy it. So for some people, playing 3 hours of chest might be more enjoyable than doing sprints. Or there's some guy, they might enjoy doing sprints as opposed to the guy that likes to go for a long run. It's not which one's going to be. I think the point I'm trying to make is some people always try and ask, which is the best cardio for me to get shredded?
Anything.
It's the best one that you can follow consistently.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it's the one that's most fun. People hate cardio. It's so boring. When you think of cardio, it's standing on a treadmill or a stationary bike. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my cardio is jiu-jitsu. I get in there and I go hard for 30, 40 minutes of rolling. That's my cardio. I don't even realize I'm doing cardio because I'm having that much fun. Pick something. It might be tennis for you. It might be
Could be
something-
Yeah.
anything.
Shooting some hoops, like how?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Just try it because too many people set themselves up for failure
Yeah.
where they'll ask questions like, what's the best diet that I can get on? And then followed by, what's the best cardio I can do with that? And it's like, and then they get given the wrong information because, well, the best diet is the keto or the best diet is the flexible dieting and the best cardio is hill sprints at 45 degrees because you get this afterburn effect. And they go and do it for a week and then the second week they fall off because it's not sustainable for them because it's not fun and they don't
Exactly.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
So a good summary, probably calories in versus calories out for most people
It's
is
the most
is
important thing.
important thing. some form of cardio, minimum 30 minutes per day, every day.
Yeah.
Mix up low intensity, medium intensity, high intensity, whenever you feel like it. Stay consistent. Include supplements when you hit plateaus.
Yeah. So remember the four important things that you really need to control for your fat loss. Diet, right? What we talked about. There's more than one way to get into a calorie deficit, right? Whether you want to count your calories, whether you want to restrict your carbohydrates, or whether you want to restrict the time that you eat, right? There's more than one way. Exercise, right? Got to get this exercise right. You have to do something. And it's the most important thing is consistency. The next most important thing is what you do. You know, sprinting's quite good if you enjoy it. Whatever's good that you enjoy. Third important thing is the psychological aspect, right? If you're going to be eating sweet things and stuff, you know, you
hang on, add some context, Dhiren, because a little bit of sweet stuff is all right.
There's always room for dessert. Let's put it that way. You're giving yourself a lot of unnecessary challenges if you know, if your mind isn't right. And like we said, you know, we talked about your physical diet, your mental diet is important. If you're not in the right mindset to commit to losing fat, then you're not going to get all these, you know, massive health benefits that come with diet and exercise, which are the first two most important parts. The fourth one is, you know, social. You know, if your friends are all eating Maccas every day,
Get some new friends.
It's hard, right? You know, even like, you know, a lot of people, their partners have an unhealthy diet, and that's a big challenge, you know, because then you're at conflict on what you're eating every day. You know, that's why
a big thing
that's why I like fit girls.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason. I think that's a good point to finish up on the topic. We've done this topic to death.
Yeah.
We've got a little segment that we have on the show. It's called Dhiren Debunks. Might be some myths or some truths that people want to know if there's actual fact or a myth. The one that's come in today is from someone that's asked, if my muscles don't get sore from training, was it even an effective workout? If I didn't. That happens a lot. If I'm not sore from training,
common question.
Did I even do anything?
Was it successful?
And I think after training for 20 years, I rarely get sore.
Yeah.
Some days, for some strange reason, you'll just come out, you're super sore, and you think, what did I do?
Yeah, you do something.
So it's a variable, but I think
it's a variable that reflects how well adapted you are to your training, right? So if you if you benching every day, typically you're gonna get less sore from benching, right?
Yep.
But if you've never trained legs, you can go to the gym every day, but if you've never squatted and you squat for the first time, you're going to be sore, right? It's how adapted you are to the training that you're doing.
Yep.
Doesn't mean it's not working, but it does mean that it is a sign of an overload on your existing.
And that's what we're trying to do,
fitness.
is create a bit of an overload. So it is a rough guide. I wouldn't sort of hinge yourself on it. If I had done, I'm not sore, it didn't even do anything. But I think it's a good reminder that we need to mix up our training. Do some different types of exercises to create that different sort of adaptation and stimulation for the muscle.
So
thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
Do you get sore from every workout?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Not doing your bands at home at the moment?
Not at all. I feel like it doesn't mean that to answer the question in a short answer, that doesn't mean the workout was ineffective. No, that definitely doesn't mean that it was ineffective because, burning calories when you exercise is still better than sitting on the couch, right? Yeah. However, at my stage of training, I aim to get sore. If I'm not sore the next day for that body part, I don't beat myself up and go, oh, what a waste of a workout. I think, well, what can I do next time that can kind of change it? Maybe a different exercise or a different angle.
Yep.
And then if I'm successful at having that body part sore, then I feel good about myself, or I feel like, well, at least I did something different. But I don't, it's not the end all and be all of the goal of training is to, I want to totally annihilate my legs so I can't walk the next day.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a goal. But
Dhiren, are you ever sore? You work in a fairly low rep range, so I think soreness is probably not as much of an issue as like typical bodybuilding style split workouts.
No, that I get sore. I train arms. I train arms once a week. We're trying to get a little bit of soreness over here. But sprinting recently has been making me a bit sore. Yeah. Whenever you tend to mix things up, that's when
sprinting makes you sore.
Sprinting,
sometimes.
yeah.
You get shin splints.
Yeah, shin splint, hamstrings 2 days later, I feel it a little.
Glutes. If you haven't sprinted for a long time and then you sprint,
I'm a sucker for the soreness, man. I just love that feeling of your muscles being sore. I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's a satisfying feeling the next day knowing that you did something that's going to produce a result. Yeah. Because you know that, well, it's sore. If I eat correctly and rest correctly, then, it should get some type of result out of that. I get shin splints. I used to get them all the time. But I've never had sore glutes and hammies from running.
Oh, you're not running fast enough.
Maybe maybe you're running wrong. The mechanics of the way you're running is flipped it on you.
We'll have a race. Come on, let's go.
Shin splints usually, it could be running mechanics, but it's usually like a not long enough adaptation process. People go from not running to running.
That's right.
10 miles and you're not adjusted.
Surprise, you've got shin splints.
Any listener questions this week, Hal? I think we had one.
I didn't see any on, on YouTube or Instagram.
I got one that came through via email. I think we've already covered it. It's Geordie Cooper from East Melbourne, Victoria. What kind of exercises are best for losing weight?
See the mistake they've made. What's the best exercise
It's common.
for losing weight?
I think we've covered it well and truly in this podcast.
The best exercise is the exercise that you enjoy, right?
Yep.
Because then if you enjoy it, you can do it consistently. And consistency is the key.
I think
Exactly.
weight training for weight loss it would be my go-to. More muscle mass you carry, the more calories that you're burning throughout the whole day, the more energy consumption.
Let's actually expand on that slightly. Okay, so
Slightly.
muscle mass is very important for fat loss, right? What comes back to nutrition.
Why is it important though?
Nutritional partitioning, what we talked about before, right? Like, three of us eat a nice, I don't know, what's your cheat meal?
Oh, let's have KFC.
Okay, three of us eat the double down,
KFC,
right,
KFC,
from KFC, and a whole bunch of chips, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna replenish our muscle glycogen much more efficiently than somebody with less muscle, right? So if these carbs aren't going to glycogen replenishment, another outcome for them is to go into fat storage. There's excess calories, right? So somebody without as much muscle mass as somebody like us will find it, you're probably more likely to
Gain fat.
to gain some fat from eating a meal like that. But
more muscle, bigger the storage tank, really.
exactly. So more muscle, less fat. Typically, easier to lose fat. But having said that, minimum effective dose, whatever works for you. Having big muscle is going to have a good effect in the long term. But if it's cardio to lose fat, then comes back to calories
That's
and
the
less
thing.
calories.
It comes down to what I see is that what literally is the best way to do something isn't necessarily the best way for you, because to get from here to Parramatta in the fastest way possible is probably an F1 car, but not everybody knows how to drive one.
I got a private jet, man.
Yes.
Just take that.
Yeah. Come on, you still driving?
You seen the Musashi jet?
Have you crashed it yet?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the best way for you, because the best way needs to be the way that you consistently do. So
Best is a tricky question.
and in saying that, not everybody wants to do strength exercises.
No.
You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
everybody is into them.
Best is a tricky question
That's
because
right.
there's the optimal, the absolute optimal that you can do, and then there's the minimum effective dose. Which is best for you is another question.
I
Where
think
do
you
you see
answered it perfectly. It's whatever you enjoy doing.
Exactly.
Quote, famous athlete quote. We have to, Hal's going to float an athlete quote out, and you got to try and figure out who said this quote, Phil.
Oh, me?
Well, all of us
All
are
of
going to
us.
try.
Okay, yeah. 'cause
Darren nailed it last week.
Yeah, that's the first time last
Okay.
week.
I gave you an easy one last week.
What do we got, Hal? Shout it out.
I'll swap it out this one. I got a better one over here. If you don't find the time, if you don't do the work, you don't get the result.
If you don't find the time, you don't do the
I'm
work,
pretty sure
you
my
don't
mum
get
said
the
that.
result.
Your mum?
Yeah, Mum's told that to me many times.
Your
She
mum?
rip it off.
Probably a good quote for today.
If you don't know, say that again.
If you don't do the time, you don't do the work, you don't get the result. Somebody that works hard, for sure.
Yep. Go for it.
Do I guess?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. What was it?
Athlete. It's an athlete.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jackson's a famous dancer. It's an
Yeah.
athlete.
Last week.
Oh, I'm late.
Go. Who have you got?
I'm gonna go Kobe Bryant. Sounds
Always
like it sounds like
You're a
like
cheater.
a
He knows. He
it's
knows
a
the
mambo
answer.
mambo mentality, you know.
Is it?
I'm going to go Messi.
Nah, I'll give you a hint.
Yes.
Get to the chopper.
Arnold.
Sylvester Stallone. I actually had Arnold in my head. I actually had him in my head.
Arnold
I didn't say it,
Schwarzenegger.
but-
Yeah.
So true. Still working out to this day. What is he? 70-something?
150.
Oh, he's been posting up some great quarantine
Yeah,
motivation.
he has, man. So funny.
He's a
legend,
legend.
man.
Absolute legend. And the Miyamoto Musashi quote of the week.
Do I read that out?
Yeah,
You can
so
read it out if
we
you want.
selected
You're
a
the
quote.
guest.
We selected a
Okay,
quote
so
for you.
The Miyamani Musashi quote for this podcast is, "If you do not control the enemy will control you."
Ooh.
Who's the enemy?
How do we translate that into a message that we can give the listeners about today's podcast?
Fat,
Fat is the enemy.
Well, if you do not control,
fat.
Well, we want some fat, right?
if you do not control your fat loss journey, your fat loss journey will control you. If you don't do things that you enjoy and dietary changes that you can, adapt to, then you're just diving into the shark tank, and you're not going to be in control of this fat loss. If you do in small increments that you can control, then you're going to be in control.
Guess who? The only person that control your nutrition and your training is you.
That's right.
You are the only person that can control it.
What about the entire food system?
You can make choices. There's choices to make.
I think we have a lot of control. I think people tend to give up their control they justify it through means of practicality, or in a short term they just make excuses because for whatever. And I think there's a lot of things that we need to be able to take control of, whether it's mental, dietary, exercise, and if we can take control of those things, or as many of those things as we can, then we place ourselves in a better position to achieve our goals or become successful at.
I think you nailed it there, Phil. I don't think we could answer that any better.
My enemy is chocolate, right? If you do not control your chocolate cravings, your chocolate cravings will control you.
Cadbury's in control.
I just want a big shout out. Thanks for coming in today, Phil, especially with everything that's going on. It's been awesome to see you again, catch up. You are welcome to come back anytime. Listeners will probably see Phil on the podcast quite a bit in the future. We love the dynamic and the information and the wisdom that you bring. For anyone that wants to leave a review on iTunes or on YouTube, we're giving away a free Musashi t-shirt that everyone leaves a positive review or comment. Give us a shout out. Send us through your details to podcast@musashi.com and we'll flick you out a free t-shirt. I think, where can people find you, Phil? Instagram?
Jump on Instagram and YouTube. Phillip Host, constantly putting up, like I said before.
What up, Instagram?
What up? Constantly putting up some great lifestyle stuff, health, fitness, bodybuilding.
Pretty interesting YouTube and Instagram feed you've got.
I'm pretty sure I've got a YouTube video where I literally just shave my head. So it's just random, whatever
goes.
So
it's not always all fitness related, but there is a lot of fitness related content.
I really just want to help guys out there that's need some guidance, whatever that means to them. So,
and if anyone needs any sort of graphic design work done,
hit me up.
Hit you up at
philip@strongmediagroup.com.au.
Beautiful. I think any parting words to go before we sign off?
Nah,
go get
it.
Thanks for having me, guys, today. I really appreciate it. It was great to see you guys again. It's always having a blast. We didn't go at each other like we have in the past. I think we've actually come to an agreeable level of...
We're older and wiser now. We can have a civil debate.
Without choking each other.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good yarn. And definitely looking forward to doing this again with you guys.
Mate, you're welcome back anytime. Everyone out there, stay safe. Be kind to each other. Spread love, positivity.
Get lean.
Listen to the podcast, and look, don't take yourself too seriously. I think it's a good time to just relax, reset. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have some fun with your family. Everyone stay safe. Musashi R&D Sessions out.
Go get it. Get some fat loss.